as we get going. And here goes the market, man. Maybe we will sooner rather than later. But good show overall there today. I'm now, I mean, again, just to recap, Marvell, $6 in the money. Amazon, $2 right now. And the TQ's $1.40 as the S&P futures continue to move higher. Let's take out some more now on the TQQs as we get the 200 period moving average. Did you buy that dip or not? It's 64% of you are green, and that's a great one there. We'll see if we can talk about some smaller cap names. We have WNW has been halting there today. Yeah, AKAN and that RDAC again with a little bit. But there it is right there, 64%. My hats are off to all of y'all. All right, Neil, good day. Sharif, thank you. Adara, thank you. Joe, everybody today. Brendo, thank you for the HVAC there. Thanks to Juan and everybody else for helping us get that out. Thanks to Ramin for hooking up the cold brews. That was really nice. Fabian, all the work as well. Andre coming through. We have a great team, and thanks to Sia in the back for her reporting there on RCL, reminding me potentially why I may never go on a cruise.
Well, I watched the YouTube short.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally yesterday that reminded me why I'm never going on a cruise.
My wife has already...
It was like one storm. I'm like, no.
She watched that poop cruise, and now I can't get anything, that stupid Netflix.
Absolutely not.
But there it is, over VWAP. We'll see you guys later. Ciao for now.
Boom, greetings and salutations, beautiful people. Welcome to the Midday Show. This right there is your boy Joey Options. I'm Sharif, and we're gonna wait until YouTube sends everybody on over from the other stream. There we go. Now we're getting a whole bunch of people. My main man, Benton. Come on, you Gunners. I'll take it. 1-1 away. We'll go home, play him again next week. Hopefully he'll do a little bit better, but very hard to watch. Horrible game. Shout out to Kirk D. We got, man, elevators make me fart. Okay. Ronaldo. We got Game, Kraft, Nico, Notorious Dingleberg, Texas Boy. Shout out to Gucci. Oh. All right, cheers, love. We got Green Saber, Joey. How about Brody M and Oslam? Shout out to Oslam. Daniel Simon. Okay, Mike PD Rider, slow motion. Edison Silva and Ozana. Not Oslam, but Ozana. Joe Schmo. We got Hell's Gate. AI 9213 and Arun. Hello to everybody. Hello to you this morning, bro.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's having a fantastic one. I mean, there it goes, market recovery, all that selling right out of the gate, starting to slowly climb back. We're in some Bitcoin right now. We're in NVDA. You can see we're long from this 95.20 level, looking for that move. I like what Neil was saying. He was touching on, he's like, as soon as we get into the volume-weighted average price, you might want to look at taking some profits. So we'll have to definitely take that into consideration, just in case it does reject heavy and start to head back towards the south side. Nonetheless, there's NVDL, slightly ITM, and then we're going to be looking at IBIT as well. I see Neil in this one this morning. And I'm like, all right, strong, going opposite the market. Are we going to find any form of continuation? Doesn't seem to be the case. Man, I don't know about this thing at times, but there it goes. Market slowly starting to come back in. But who's leading the race to the top side? Google, and we have to be prepared to get out of this IBIT trade just in case this trend line breaks, right? So you can see that wedge starting to be formed, a couple inverted hammers right at the volume weighted average, just below the volume weighted average price on NVDA. Qualcomm was him today. Qualcomm and Walmart were definitely strong plays, but I mean, we didn't really talk about the staples starting to slowly pull back here, but nonetheless, a strong move. Maybe we get an indecision print right at VWAP and then we can continue, but a high of 131.40s, so not too bad of a look there on WMT. We obviously have the overall market in the corner of our eye as we typically do. There's the NASDAQ, the TQQQs, and the SPY. We're keeping it and monitoring. How are the financials been performing? I know that Robinhood was climbing towards the high of the day and a strong recovery nonetheless here from the overall market. 7-Eleven going right back towards opening price. We are rejecting that right now, and Bitcoin heading towards the low of the day. So we're going to have to hop out of that trade relatively quick because it does not want to go. What is going on with this thing? You try to solve that puzzle, you might go a little bit crazy. It's kind of like Bandersnatch, essentially a never-ending game with no actual answers behind it sometimes. Sure.
What is that game called?
Bandersnatch.
I've never heard of it. Bandersnatch. Yeah. All right. We're long ACAN, second trade here. ACAN is ripping up. We're already $1 in the money on this one. We're one beak wetter, just looking for more, Joey. There's the third. We're on our way up. I got 41.64. It just tagged 43. Let's see if this can breach current day high, which is 43.70. Second trade on this, both positive, looking for a halt up, can't quite see. 46.07 limit up, so quite a distance away from where we are now, as well as the high of the day. Let's see if this loses 42. Reason I got in here for the second attempt, I'll explain it in a second, but there's obviously support at 40. I saw a buyer come in at 40 and a half. I'm like, all right, this doesn't look like it's going to make it down to 40. Put my stop just a skosh below 40, just to give myself that buffer should there be a liquidity grab at that level, and then we rocket it up. I have one more out left here. I don't have a resting order, but it's losing 42 here. It lost 42 momentarily, but look at that buyer step right back in at the whole dollar, keeping us afloat above said 42 level. I'm looking for a breach of the high of the day, knowing full well that this current candle on the 5 has a lower high. So we haven't quite breached prior bar high quite yet, but I am buoyed by the fact that there is a buyer in and around 42. If we lose that buyer, I'm out. And we're dropping now. That's the end of the trade for me there, as it lost the $42 level. If it sets up again, then I can get back in. But currently, I didn't like the spread opening up to the tune of almost 60 pennies there. That's hard to manage, especially for a volatile name. So keeping a close eye on this one. Good couple of trades on it initially, and here's what I was thinking. This is why I got in second time around. Take a quick gander at the low of that candle. I'm talking about that doji candle with almost no body right there. The low of that candle is 40.57. I was really fixated on that 10-20 topping tail candle, which clearly rejected 40. So I said, look, at least there would be a scalp trade initially off that 40 defend. It came in, it didn't come in that well. Case in point, we're still a lower high on the current candle. So that's AKAN, and if you'll recall, if you were with us yesterday, AKAN was him, as Joey would say, and I would say as well. And it's been running for a couple of days. So more than a couple of days. In fact, this one looked like it started moving on the 24th, which was Friday, did nothing on Monday. Tuesday was a good day. Wednesday is a decent day. And here we are Thursday, yet again, ripping up. And we're not just ripping up by a couple of, bucks here and there. We're up like double what we were a couple of days ago, to the tune of 68%. So might as well put some respect on this one's name and keep a close eye on it. Alas, it's right back above 42, still prior bar low. Still lower than the prior bar high, pardon me. But here we are working back into 43. I don't think a 43 breakout is the right trade. Now, the problem is, if we wait for prior bar high, again, the prior bar high is the high of day, 43.70, you might get a lot of slippage trying to take that breakout, right? Because there's going to be a lot of illiquidity around there. You're not the only person looking at it. So I'm going to keep a close eye here on AKAN. It looks fantastic. And, nothing to complain about. There's 43 again, Joey. And here we are again at the whole dollar. We're looking for a breach of the half dollar here. The breach of the half dollar puts us like a stone throw away from that 70 penny high. So 43.70 high. There's a seller here. And there it goes into a new high of day. 44.34, Katina, man. This one's on its horse. It's looking close, like this one might hit 50 bucks. You don't weasel into the mid to low 40s and then don't make your way up into 50. Limit up is 46.54. We got to watch here to see if we actually trigger the limit up. And now keep in mind that the limit up level is always going to be red on my time and sales there on the right side. So now it's moved up. 47.06. Well, how come it moved up? Well, because the timer reset. Right? So it has to stay at any one point. There it goes, man. Right back into $47. 47.06 limit up. So it's a 47 high of day right now. Keep your eye out on this one. We got to go to Adara with news, but when we come back, we're going to be covering this one.
You can see the story here on your screen, guys, but just letting you know, as we get this pullback in oil, seeing reports that the U.S. Department of Energy is soliciting an exchange of up to 92.5 million barrels from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. So this reported reserve exchange looks like it's sending USO a little bit lower here from that intraday high. Back to you.
Yeah, okay, so big topping tail candle into 47, losing 45 now, Joey. The 5-second chart shows me support at around 44. I want to say 44 to 44 and a half. And here we go again. We're into 46 here. It looks like we may want to test that 47 high of day. Now, look, this doesn't go in a straight line, as you see, right? It can pull back $3, $4, but what it is doing is it's holding trend. So it's holding the prior bar low, If you can kind of stomach that kind of risk by holding into prior bar low, all the power to you. But it is quite a distance away. Prior bar low takes us down to 41.79. We're showing 46 here, Joe. So this one could be a little bit, you may have to chart off a smaller time frame here.
Strong uptick here in IBIT. I watched that volume and the clean flush on the tape. Let's see if we can break through this resistance zone. We do want to see a little bit more of an uptick from the volume profile here. If we can't break this, then we definitely have to take into consideration this might not work. NVDL is working for us right now. 9-day would be the ideal target if the market's going to go on full recovery mode. But I was thinking $380 on Google here today. No, not at all, my friend. I thought we were going 380 here today. 369 is where I was looking to get involved. It pulls back, goes down to 366, and then off to the races it goes. But I mentioned not too long ago, QCOM is him. Can we break this? Let's go. I believe that we can get this rolling if we have the ability to sit on top of the volume-weighted average price. Now, as for Walmart not working out for us right now, we're small. I'm going super small size. The 2 o'clock hour is where I really thrive. Yesterday, slightly red, and then boom, boom, boom. We just take a couple of trades in that hour. So what I've noticed as of late, been taking over just over the past couple of months, is that the first couple hours of the session, not the kids' time, but we like that 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock slot. So we'll continue to hammer things over there. Now, this resistance zone acting like a big-time pain. What do? We go over to the options chain to see if there's any form of resistance at that 43.5 marker here on IBIT. Let's pull it up. We'll take a look at the open interest to see the resistance zone and the supply. So 43.5, we don't got anything there. So what are we struggling for? Come on, you could do it. But Qualcomm, once again, putting in a new high of the day, up to 183. This thing's up $20 off of the lows. Gorb, I said this, brother, the one you don't take just works. If Google goes 380 today, oh man, it's going to. Like at this pace, you're almost at 377. Target was 380 and off to the races. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Qualcomm, miss it, don't want to chase it. I was waiting for a little bit of a pullback, a hold of the body, and then off to the races we could potentially go. Didn't pull the trigger on it, and then $20 later, you're there scratching your head. Now, as for Google, the exact same thing, right? We can see this print at 940. When did this print happen? At 940, I'm like, okay, pull back, let's get involved. Oh, okay, never mind. We're going to break trend. We're going to head a little bit lower to 366, and then later on, we're going to climb $10 higher. So, I mean, there it is. Not too bad of a look on both of those names, as it's only a matter of time until we hit an additional ATH here on Google. Now, as for IBIT, we're still getting stuck at that resistance zone, so not looking good, and we're about to breach the volume-weighted average price here on Walmart.
All right, there goes AKAN into a new high a day. We got back in at 45.90. We scalped up into 47 2/3. We didn't quite get high a day, but it's at 48. I have a bias. You get this close to 50, you're on your way to 50, if not more. It's not going to be in a straight line, but you've got to manage your trade somehow. That's up to you. Okay, so continuing to watch here, seller at 47 locally, so a bit of a pullback expected. Now, let's gauge the, let's try to keep, I'm trying to keep the level 2 up so that I can see price action, because this thing can move in a heartbeat, but I'm trying to gauge support and resistance here on the 5. Looks like there's a 46 to 46.5 buyer. Let's see if 46 fails. So continuing to watch back into 47, Joe, right back into 47 and change. The spread opening up. The spread's like 50 pennies, man, which is quite displeasing. But, hey, that's what we've got, so let's deal with it. I'm loving the trend. I think the right thing to do here is to look for a bit of an aggressive pullback on our way to 50 with a view to hitting 50. So continuing to watch. Let's see if that 46 buyer continues to step up. There we go, dipping into 45, high 45s, losing 45, losing 44, Joe. This is turning into a topping tail candle. Limit down is 41.25. So limit down 41.25. We're still holding generally 45 here. So not quite the move I was looking for. There's a buyer at 44, hence why I got out. Sorry, there used to be a seller. Now there's a buyer at 44. Let's see if we can kind of finagle an entry here in the 44s with an idea that we put our stop just a skosh below 44 for a possible dip trade and a continuation. There's 44. There's 44. Oh, the spread just popped back into like 45. I couldn't even get it, man. Yeah, I'm going to have to continue to watch here, guys. Let's see if we get another dip into 44. It looks like the buyers are picking this up quite aggressively off that 4-4 level. If I'm seeing it, they're seeing it, and here we are right back into 45, Joey. So going to pack the patience here, but looking for an entry.
Dude, I know. Gore, man. Okay, see. 526. I mean, there it is, guys.
Oh my
I'm thinking,
days.
let's see if we can break through. I mean, we're testing, we're holding,
Ugly.
but one thing to note is that we're starting to form a shelf. Walmart not holding up too well, but I'm going to give this one quite a bit of time. I have space until 130, right? I mean, we're in at 80s roughly, 77s to be exact. And I gave it a lot of room, smaller size. Someone said, yeah, Joe, you're in a lot of positions. Yeah, but I reduced like my typical entry just due to the amount of volatility stepping in earnings. You're going to see an increase in that. So you need a lot wider of a stop. With that being said, smaller size, wider stop. I mean, Bitcoin starting to look okay, opening on top of this range. I mean, we're not breaking down. We're holding it, establishing higher lows, which isn't bad. We ran up into almost 378 there on goggles, but Qualcomm just can't stop, won't stop at this point. It's super strong here today, guys, especially off of that low. You have 10 minutes of selling, and then it's rebound city, so a little bit of a Dennis Rodman play right there, just catching that board and continuing to climb. Nonetheless, NVDA on each candle is rejected. Yeah, I know, man. It looks like it's curling over. I don't know what you think about this, Gora, but you see how we're above VWAP here on the TQs, even Meta had the ability to breach it. Google's just in its own world right now. Are you kidding me, Bitcoin? Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we don't get that turtle shell type play, and then we just can't breach it and then slowly curl over and then come and retest this low. It's kind of the vibe that it was giving me. But nonetheless, I just feel like there's so many things aligning. I had to take the long. Look at this volume print, right? That's like at 45 minutes after the open and on a hammer candle. It's like, hey, when those stars align, you have to take the trade and see if it's going to work for you. But the momentum to the downside was absolutely crazy. 378 now on goggles as this name continues to rip to the top side. And Bitcoin doesn't know if it's coming or going, brother.
All right, man. I have to let this one settle down here because it's kind of all over the place. All right. So here's what else we're looking at. HCAI is another big mover, up 93% and change, losing VWAP though, and basically unbroken in the lower high trend. So something to look out for there. OSRH also up big, about 55%, give or take. Sub $1, about 70 pennies. Keep your eye on that. BAND, a bit consolidative, looks like a bull flag. A couple of bull flags, one on low volume, initiating at 7 a.m., the other one at 9:30. But they both look alike. And it looks like as if 34 or 33 and a half or thereabouts is about the support level on that. RPGL, a lot of topping tail candles into two. That obviously tells you that there's a whole lot of selling into the whole dollar. Couple of lower highs here. My suggestion is pick this up off VWAP, maybe in the low 180s for a liquidity grab below VWAP. Also XRX, another one to look at there. I think this was the IPO from the other day. I'm not even sure. I don't really care. 229, a bunch of higher lows here. VWAP not factoring as any area of important support or resistance. In fact, looks more like a line of best fit. Showing right now between 205, 210, looks like it's at around 207 and change. Last but not least here, GTX. A little bit of a liquidity issue here. Volume dropping off. A bit of a what's it called? Volume price action divergence there, with the price action making higher highs and the volume dropping off. I think the prior bar at 1110 just did about 22,000 shares. 2513 high, struggling above 25. GTX, not a bad look, but not the best of the bunch. And then the one I said very little about is WNW, and WNW is kind of losing trend over here. But I'm seeing a new one show up on the scanner, VLN. This one is ripping up. How many shares has this one done? 15.7 million shares. This one didn't do anything in the pre-market. It literally almost did no volume. So it's a 930 breakout. Looks like there was initial resistance at the $1.85, but that's far, far away from the current price action, which is just a little bit below the $0.50, 246. VWAP is at 2 1/5. Prior bar low takes us down to 218. Current bar low is 235 and a half. Those are the levels on VLN. This is one that I didn't see, to be quite honest with you, initially when I sat down. So I really don't have an opinion on this one now. I'm going to watch the price action, Joey, see how this one ends up manifesting.
Yeah, lost, brother. Not too bad, to be honest with you. You can see that we're in a couple of positions. The only one OTM right now is Walmart, right? Like, we like Walmart. Nice, strong drive, almost up 2% here today. Not far off of that all-time high. And then there we go. We have NVDL slightly in the money, only be 50 cents or so. But, hey, I mean, it's better than none. we keep rejecting this level and establishing lower time frames as we get deeper into the trends here. So the primary to the downside, secondary, somewhat of a pullback, but now looking at these micro trends, it's not looking too good. We could just draw this and you can see that we have the inability to punch through that 96 marker and hold as the overall market is consolidating above VWAP right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some form of a pullback. Bitcoin finally sitting on the top end of this range. It's been an absolute chop fest. From 1020 to where we're currently sitting at 1120. So an hour of just sideways movement. We're not positioned bad whatsoever, giving this one the low of the day. So we almost got stopped out on it, but we're like, yeah, you know, let's hold it, give ourselves a little bit more room. And with that being said, you go smaller share size and just allows you to hold for a little bit longer and not necessarily have to have that nice tight stop where it's only a couple of pennies or so. So now with that being said, have to wait for a little bit larger of a move. And for me, it's going to be into that pre-market high. All right, if we can get into that pre-market high and the high of the day, then we are off to the races. Yeah, that's what we do, Jesse. That's what we do around here. I reduce risk and let it play. Yeah, exactly. Lawson and I both $8. And Gaurav, all right, man, all right. I didn't know you were in Tesla, Gaurav. Let's pull up this bad boy, TSLA. Everybody's saying, oh, H smackers. Okay. Yeah, I mean, a nice base being formed at 368, climbs all the way up to 378, so that's $10 right there. Nice work, you guys. As it's continuing to climb, one of the stronger names. And Netflix was strong this morning. And we got to go over to my boy Robinhood. Bang, $93. We'll take it as it's starting to slowly recover, but still hasn't entered that gap down. Okay, yeah, let's get out of... I'm just going to get out of NVDA here. We'll take a small win on it, but I don't like how we're starting to curl over. I mean, at some point it could break down. Maybe we can get in at a little bit better of a price towards the lower end of this range, and then we'll start to recover. But that slow curl over is giving me bad vibes. Now that I'm out, it's probably going to climb. So, I mean, it is what it is. One thing that I did want to pull up before we send it back to Sharif is Robinhood. Let's sit up straight, man. Oh, yeah, we already went over Hood. Oh, 73. What am I talking about? 93, $73. It'd be nice if it was up at 93 again. And then I type in 93. Well, it's more or less Netflix, right? So we had both of these names poor on the earnings report, right? So you have this just massive move lower, but now you're starting to recover. But one thing that I want to note is I don't like this, right? I don't like this shelf at all. It looks like it's gonna get broken because you're just like free hanging, right? It's just hovering over something. So a pull back into 88 and then maybe it can continue its trend. Walmart's slowly starting to cook up for us. We'll take that. But the trend line has been broken. Just gonna probably take a little bit longer to formulate, to be honest.
All right, man. AKAN dropped off a cliff here. It's coming into a predictable area. That $40 area where we took it off initially is coming back in. 41. This is where I got in initially, that 40 area before the big move up into 48. It's an unbroken 3-candle red setup, you know, kind of precipitated there by a topping tail candle into 48. I had a bias that we'd get into 50, at least, you know, having gotten that close to 48. It doesn't look like it's going to happen that way. Doesn't mean that 50 is off the table for the day. And there you go. You just got to move from 41.50 to 42.50. So that's the kind of volatility you can get with AKAN over here. So that has to kind of that has to feature in your risk profile. $40 though is the real resistance level that I'm looking at. But this candle is basically just had a magnetic effect right into that 10 EMA on the 5, which is about 41.50 there. So AKAN, I don't think it's done quite yet, but it's going to have to regain trend. Wow, it just jumped into 40. Why do I keep hitting that one? It just jumped into 44, 43.75 now. Still a downtrend, right? We breached that downtrend through a break of 46. So that's what I'd be looking at. Now I've entered a new position here on VLN. I'm giving VLN to prior bar low, which is 34s, essentially, okay? So what I'm looking for here is another attempt at 50. I'm in at 45. It's showing me 41, so I'm out of the money. But I'm looking for another attempt here so long as it holds prior bar low. That's the number one thing I'm looking for. I'm also keeping a close eye here on AKAN as this one's working back into 44 and could see 45 shortly. But VLN doesn't feel like it has the buyers at this level. So we'll have to see if this can hold prior bar low. We are about a minute from a new candle, actually less, but 30 seconds from a new 5-minute candle here. And the current bar low is not that much higher than the prior bar low. Lovely. The mouse over is not working. I like that. Let's have a look at it over here. So current bar low takes us into 41. Prior bar low, as I mentioned, is, Current bar low is 36.5, prior bar low is 35.5. So we're a penny higher than we were on the prior bar. So not much to say there. And yeah, I'm not really liking anything else at the moment, except possibly GTX. But I have an issue with this one, is that it's a little illiquid. But it's back above 25 and about 10 pennies away from the high of the day. GTX stair-stepping up. If you don't mind being patient with these ones, yeah, they can be quite rewarding if you're able to exercise the patience and get in at the right time, mind you, Joey.
All right, good stuff. We have a couple of super chats here that we're going to go over. You can see that, okay, there we go. Come on, volume, follow it. Look at the tape here. Assassino screen, thanks, brother. Look at the tape, boom, clean flush, a lot of size coming in there right at the ask. Now, is this going to be enough for us to break and hold this resistance zone? I want to focus on this for a moment before we get into those super chats. And are we going to have a follow through? I think that's the key answer, right? So like when we're looking for the long and we're looking for that breakout, there's two things that we can look at, right? You'll see one reflected in the other. That's the tape. So if we have some clean flushes and not much resistance, so if there's someone defending this level, you'll see them start to hit and defend, boom, hit the bid, hit the bid, hit the bid. But one thing that we want is, if we're going to break out, we want to see those clean flushes on the ask and above the ask, but also the volume down here supporting that. All right, so let's keep an eye out on it. A nice strong uptick. We'll take it. The trend is up. We're not in a horrible position. There goes Walmart. Walmart back on the NQ, or I shouldn't say back on the NQ, but on the NQ, and there it goes off to the races in WMT. There could have been a reload opportunity, but let's see if we can break this high. We're up two and a third here approximately. If we could head up into this neck of the woods, that's what we'll start to take a little bit off. But Gaurav, yeah, this is what I was saying. So I got out for a small W here on NVDA, only a couple of pennies, but it's better than a loss. I was just thinking, the way we were forming this shelf, I wouldn't be surprised if we get some form of a breakdown. We drew this micro trend right here, and we are failing to construct any new high. We kept rejecting and started to form lower highs. With that being said, we had to get out of that one. Now, Bitcoin, it's struggling, man. It's either it's going to break aggressively, or we're going to see a big, strong move to the downside where we head back into the lower end of the range. I'm going to be an optimistic here and just... an optimist, I guess, and just say, hey, man, let's go, and continue to climb higher. I want to see a big-time recovery, but Walmart working wonders for us at this moment. Nonetheless, guys, market continuing to climb, and there goes that slide on NVDA, Gaurav, so I'm happy that we got out of that one before we would have been OTM, but slightly ITM right here, a quarter here on Walmart, and we're starting to work here on IBIT as well.
Great job, Joey. All right. Back into 45 for AKAN. Look, this current candle has a higher low and a higher high as relative to the prior doji candle, the one that closed at the 1120 candle, essentially. But we can't seem to clear 45 decisively, and quite frankly, I'm not looking for 45. I'm looking for a clearing of 46 decisively for a move back into 48. So let's see if we can kind of manifest a V-shaped recovery on AKAN over here, but my level will be 46. I just see a lot of selling at the 45 to maybe 44-ish level as well. I also want to mention OSRH. So this one is a sub $1 stock, but it's ripping. OSRH. Okay, there we go. I was just about to get into this one. Current bar low is just south of 70, 69.5. Right? So let's put that in for a risk calculator there. This one's really ripping, so it's going to encounter likely resistance at what's it called, 75 pennies, where it's very close right now. So let's watch OSRH, a clean hold off the volume weighted average price, quite frankly. Nice bottoming tail candles, all of which defended at 65. My concern is that that 75 level ends up being a bit of a resistance level. Well, 74 before 75. And the reason I say that is this consolidation area here near the highs used 74 as support. So let's see if we can get above 74 decisively, let alone 75 on a closing basis, and then that could possibly get me back into the trade. But OSRH also really looking quite good, 60.5% with ample amount of volume, about 167 million shares traded on the day. So you shouldn't have an issue with spread nor liquidity. So keep your eye out on that one. AKAN is not setting up quite yet in the way that I like. So it looks like it is failing. Again, 45, and this current candle on the 5-minute chart has turned red down into 43.91. So it's failing 44 again. I'm not quite interested in that one at the moment until I see a little bit more positivity from that, rather than some lower lows and lower highs. Here we are back on OSRH, and you can just see the aggressive selling at 74. So You know, that's the problem with these ones, right? You could encounter resistance at 74, and you could think, you know, you've seen the worst of the resistance, and then you're right into that $0.75 level, and there's an equal amount of resistance, if not worse. So I'm not quite ready to punch in. There it is above 74 on the bid and the ask. Let's see if we can move up a little bit ahead of 74.11. There it is. Let's go and take this trade here. Joey, we're going to give this one the old college try. And there it is, failing 74 again. No continuity on that level. So we're going to be holding this one until I believe where the topping tail candle is about 72 pennies. We're going to give this one. But it's still dancing with 74 here, so we're going to keep a close eye here, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Okay, nice little move there. Strong uptick in Bitcoin. Clean flushes. This is what we're talking about, a follow-through via volume. And this is exactly what we need, man. A nice little move. But Gorov, yeah, Los Pollos. Tesla on fire today, and this is a pretty good pattern, right? Like you have that base at 368 starting to form, and then you open up on top of the range, and then off to the races it goes. And it hasn't really looked back since that point, so it's looking pretty good in my opinion. So nice work there on TSLA. Let's go IBIT, and let's get this continuation. Hopefully we don't want to establish a lower high on Walmart. Then we'll definitely have to take some more things into factor. Now, what was I going to pull up here? Oh, yeah, that's it. Wally's World right there. A nice strong uptick, but I don't like how we're starting to form that lower high as I was just mentioning. We need a follow through. Hopefully this isn't just a false break. There it goes. Come on. That's what we're talking about, wannabe trader, man. We're just holding on to that one. I'm going to diamond hit. I'm going to Deontay Wilder this until essentially this previous high at 43.43. That's another 5 cents. There you go. A nice strong uptick, and you can see that the volume's kicking in. That's what we need, man. That's what we need in order for this trade to work. Adara.
Let's take a look here at Bitcoin. Now, it's worth noting BTC here on the daily chart is making another higher low. We still run into, I think, probably the most obvious level of resistance here around 79 halves. Right now, not really anywhere near there, around 76 halves. I also want to mention here, interesting note coming from Glassnode, which I guess analyzes crypto trading volume. Spot Bitcoin trading volume as of yesterday fell below $8 billion. That is the lowest level for spot Bitcoin trading volume since October of 2023. So 2.5-year lows for spot Bitcoin trading volume. I can't find really a reason for this, but again, given the volatility as of late, Bitcoin analysts, crypto analysts are seeing this as significant. Glassnode themselves, so again, compiled this data, said that, quote, such low volume environments often coincide with reduced market depth and heightened sensitivity to flow shifts. So keep an eye here on that. If I see more about these Bitcoin trading volumes in the coming days and weeks, I'll keep you posted. But either way here, higher low or for BTC as we continue to await another test potentially of that 80,000 level. We'll take a look at Ethereum quickly as well. ETH continuing to look distinctly different from Bitcoin after at least a couple months there of trading very close to Bitcoin, continuing to make lower highs on the day from that 2450 peak we made on Friday, April 17th. Back to you.
Yeah, I mean, there it goes, man. A clean move up into 43.44, so we surpassed that target. I'm like, no, we can continue to climb, but we reject that level. And this is honestly worst case scenario. This is the last 5-minute print that you want to see all the way up here above a resistance zone and the volume supporting that. So yeah, that's not too good of a look. You break through. Could that be the final liquidity grab? You can see on the 1-minute time frame an uptick in the vol as well. And then sure enough, you just fall 10 cents. In half the time that it took to climb there. So that is absolutely worst case scenario there on Bitcoin as the volume kicked in, but now starting to come right back into the middle of the range, Sharif.
All right, brother. I see HCA above, and yeah, it's not my favorite. I see it's making a move off VWAP. It's just the downtrend is a little too aggressive for me. I'm going to need to see a little bit more HCAI, the number one gapper in the market right now, up 100%. But it's just, it doesn't fit my profile at the moment. So I'm going to steer clear of that until I see, a decided move, maybe above 12.5, something like that. It's just got to break trend. Right now, it's still got the lower high trend going on. All right, OSRH, still looking for that possible 72 defend here. I'm keeping a close eye on the 5-second chart, pardon me. And we're still putting in a lower high, lower low trend on that chart. So I'm looking for a decided break there locally of that trend before I maneuver into this one again. But I do like it. I like the fact that it's above the 10 moving average. It's above that 70 penny area, but it's got to change the tune locally on the smaller time frame. so that I can see, you know, the winds of change are coming in the long direction. Currently, that isn't happening. So got to keep clear of that one at the moment. Nothing really doing on my side here, quite frankly. VLN is losing the bid. AKAN is not really doing what I'm looking for. But here's OSRH, kind of changing trend here, breaking back up a little bit. Let's see if we can get above 73. We got 72.99 on this one. Good look. So let's put in the risk parameters so we have an idea of what we're going to do. Set point 72.99. So my 1R on this one fixed is going to be 77. So that's quite ambitious, right? Because of the high of the day is about 79.11. I'd like to see a move above 75. That helps me rest a little bit easier. Why? Because the two prior candles did reject off that level. So we'll see if we can kind of hold trend. Now, if we lose 71.5, I'm out because that's a local area low. So this would just be a lower high and probably a cover rally for the shorts, right? Especially if it fails the levels that I just articulated, 74 to 75. So looking for a 71.5 hold. 71.5 hold doesn't hold. I'm out. That's a penny and a half risk I'm willing to take on this specific trade. If it doesn't hold, doesn't hold. And that's why, see, Buvin, this is why I didn't want to touch it. This is why I didn't want to touch it. Is look what it did. It lured everybody in at 11.5, then it dropped down into 10. Now, it's not over for HCAI, right? It's straddling VWAP, albeit from the south side. But look at the trend. The trend is quite decisively lower high. And that's why I want to stay away from this one. But I did see the big move, and I hope you printed on it, brother, because I know you scalped below VWAP. That's just not something I'm willing to do with Joseph.
Yeah, man, I don't know, man. This is crazy. Like we were talking about, you get that breakout, you run into that zone, and then it's, I mean, I don't know what the probability of this is actually starting to print, but this is not what you want to see. Push price all the way up to 43.43, and then straight down all the way, like dropping 15 cents as quick as you'd like, as Shreve would typically say. So that, not good. So what did I do? I removed half of my position. We'll leave the other half remaining. I mean, it would have been nice up there. I should have posted up at 42 like I said I was going to, but I'm like, you know what? If we're going to run with volume supporting us, right? Like there's no reason stopping volume, I guess, as you climb higher, and then sure enough, you have that last liquidity grab, and then you move right lower. We are currently bouncing off of VWAP, which isn't bad, but at this point, I think Walmart is going to breach the high of the day, so we'll take that one left, right, and center as Walmart is continuing to climb here, and I think at some point you will breach that 131.32 level with an all-time high of approximately 134. All right, I don't know if we're going to head there necessarily today, but the way things are looking, maybe by the end of next week or a little bit sooner. So not too bad here on Walmart, holding the full position for that move, and we're going to try to hold it. And same thing, I removed half, Walmart continuing to climb, Bitcoin bouncing off. This is what I was talking about earlier, Gore. We had that turtle shell price action right below the volume weighted average price as the overall market slowly starting to come back in. So you have that first hour of selling, hour and a bit, and then now you recover. You couldn't quite get to opening price here on the NASDAQ. You get past OP here on the SPY, and then you slowly start to come back in. So I'm glad that we took that break-even trade a little bit more. Nonetheless, I think we'll be able to get a better price here if we are going to recover on NVDA. I thought there'd be some more buyers stepping in. Like it's like, hey, we bounce off of that 198.76 level on this name, and then off to the races you go, and you recover and head back into 210. But for me, I think it's just a hard buy. I'm going to start to grab a little bit more. I know I've been saying that for the past couple of days. I didn't want to grab the all-time high, so I'm happy that we're getting this pullback, and I think 200, even the 195s are good levels for me to start allocating a little bit more to the port, and even for a swing trade. There goes Walmart, new HOD up 2.5%. Oh, not quite. Pretty close, though, so we'll take that. Qualcomm starting to come back in, and Tesla printing an inverted right around its highs there, Sharif. So I wouldn't be surprised if you get some form of a pullback here.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on VLN, guys. I do see it, but it's I don't know. It's okay. Refreshing here. Give me a sec. Into VWAP it goes 255 high. I tried this one initially, but it didn't hold, and now it's got a four candle red setup on VLN on the 5 anyway. It's VWAP here, so you could give this a try or hold up at the $0.25. It's not really my favorite, okay? Watching AKAN because it's changed its tune here a little bit, but it's still encountering resistance. Feels like a bit of a double bottom, kind of, here on the 1, at least off that 42 level, and here it is again, back into the high 44s, and looking to take out 45. We're seeing 44.85 here. Step in on the ask. Let's see if we can get a nice price spike up and take out some sellers there, but it's also still putting in lower highs, right? AKAN, that is. I don't want to get in here when it's still putting in those decided lower highs. Now, obviously, if I wait for 46, high 45s, get a worse price, but at least I get some sort of confirmation. Here we go. We opened up a new candle, right? 45 buyer here. Let's see if we can weasel on up. Seller at 79. This one's looking good here. It could could breach 46. 45.79 is what we're seeing. A bit of a drop now into the 60s. Let's see if we can kind of ride this one into some highs. Aggressive selling at 46, dropping us down right back into 45 and a third. There's 45 again. Do we lose 45 though? Or is there buyers that are going to step in at 45? This candle's turning into an ugly looking candle, and it losing 45, wowzers, into 44 and change. Right back above though. Right back above on the ask, not quite on the bid though. So continuing to watch here, that probably lured in a bunch of traders. Let's see if it recovers and tries to make another attempt here at 46. It's holding current bar low. I mean, no. It's below 45 decisive. Wow, Joey, this thing is just all sorts of volatile. Take over for a second, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. There goes the HOD, 2.6% here on Wally's. I mean, let's take half off here. All right, no, we'll take 30%, right? We'll leave a little bit more for a runner. So let's rock and roll there on Wally's. Boom, we'll take some off there as it put in a new HOD. Let's see if it's going to continue to climb. Is that a strong uptick? We'll keep an eye on the tape. I mean, this thing's typically a slow mover, but maybe what we're seeing is a slight rotation out of some of the tech names and into the staples. All right, how's Costco been performing on today? And we'll look at Procter & Gamble momentarily. Costco, how have you been doing? 2.6% on Walmart, 1 1/5 here on Costco. P&G, how are you doing? Bang. Let's see if you can beat. No, oh, okay, about 0.4%, so not horrible, right? Above VWAP, looking like it wants to climb towards this key pivot level. Still sitting in this IBIT trade. It's an absolute chop fest over here, so be cautious with this one, guys. You want to obviously get in at the lower end of the range. If not, you're just going to be getting chopped and screwed essentially within this range here between 40.18s and 40.25s. So, yeah, nonetheless, let's head over to our scanner. We'll take a look at that. We got Shreve small caps on our radar as well. We'll take a look at who's putting in the most volume today. INTC up there on the top of the list. NVDA, 96 million shares. INTC with 80. Shreve sent me the truth yesterday. Once again, Intel.
I sent it to Neil too, because I knew Neil would get a kick out of it.
Yeah, once again, Intel.
Right away, he took credit. You know it was coming.
Boom.
Like, you just know it was coming.
It's coming,
right?
man.
Like,
boom, right there. Like, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, sick, truth, bang.
Yeah.
Climb $5 higher from that level. So, I mean, some good action over there. AAL. How has RCL been performing? We had Sia bring us that infographic earlier this morning on that one. Up to 1161. Let's see how we are. Boom.
Joey, AKN is ripping.
Go ahead.
Guys, we just took it into the area high there, 46.25 best. No, way higher. What am I saying? 47 and change we took there. Why is my thing 46 and change? Yeah, 46.80s we just got there. Here it is again, right below 46. How did I get that print? It's not showing me that it even made it up there on my other platform, whatever. But this one looks like it's changing its tune. Now, the problem is it's awfully volatile. It'll drop $1 very, very quickly. So that has to factor into your stop placement. I've been stopped out quickly a couple of times. I'm very positive on this one. But look at these, these entries over here. I was able to, I got in, but I got stopped out super aggressive because I wasn't giving my stop enough room. So continuing to watch this, it's changed trend in my opinion because it held the 10, it breached that 45 area where we had a lot of selling. But the problem is it's that 45, 46 area that keeps showing up as a level of resistance. 47 as well, it's like almost every dollar that there's resistance. But I like the double bottom off 42 on the 1 minute chart, and then the breach of that neckline right there of the double bottom at around 45. And here is 46 again. And now we're above 46 momentarily. It feels like this one, if it gets an aggressive buyer, it's going to squeeze a lot of shorts. I feel like they're setting up between 46 to 47. That's where the shorts are setting up. I think if we can take that level out, we're squeezing into 50. It's about getting in at the right time and putting in the right stop placement so that you're not maneuvered out or bamboozled out of this. So yeah, continuing to watch here, Joey. I don't think that the entry right now is right for me. This candle is turning into a red doji candle with basically no body and equidistant upper and lower wicks. So that isn't this setup for me. People are saying RPGL is moving up. Shout out to the OG Bovin. Let's take a quick look. RPGL is ripping like an RPG to the high side there, baby. 228 high, Bovin. Great call. Look at that flat top break at 2. I hope you took that, Bovin, because that is clean as hell. RPGL up a very respectable 53 and 4/5% on the day. It is a little illiquid, though, having only done on the day. Where the hell is it? 5.93 million shares on a $2 and $5 name. That is not that much, quite frankly. But hey, we'll trade it if it sets up in the right way. Also, VLN is losing VWAP. There was an individual in the chat there that says, I'm new to trading. I don't know what a scanner is. So I want to take the opportunity here to go through that, because I think it's important that newer viewers kind of follow along so they stick around. So this is what we're showing here, Assassino. This is a scanner, okay? The scanner is scanning based on the parameters that you enter it into it. So if I want to say scan for all the stocks that are at their 52-week highs, the scanner can do that for me. If I want the opposite, 52-week lows, the scanner can do that for me. Also, if I want a scanner that only scans for halted stocks, it can do that for me. The point is, there's a lot of pre-programmed scans for the scanner. Let me make my case to you. All the software programs are a little bit different, so you're gonna have to maneuver yours in a bit of a different way. But look at this. Look what I have over here. Assassino, are we able to zoom in on this area over here? Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. So look at this. Top percentage gainers, top percentage losers, most active by dollar, most active by average dollar, halted, closest to limit up and limit down. There's just so many different types of scanners. The one that I use, super simple, top percentage gainers. Those are the names that are up the biggest percentage-wise on the day. Those are the ones that I want to know about, because they're typically small caps. When they move 100%, you're not usually a large cap or a mid cap moving 100% of the day, right? So that's what I'm thinking there. Then I have just 2 filters for that top percentage gainers. I say to the computer, only show me the top percentage gainers that are above 25 pennies. So one, I have a price filter. And then I also say to the computer, only show me the top percentage gainers that have done over 1 million shares on the day, right? So that way I've got the price that I want, the minimum bottom price that I want, as well as the minimum volume that will be required for me to get into a trade. And then this populates. So top percentage gainers above 25 pennies and doing more than 1 million shares on the day. And then you basically just filter them or organize them in order of which one is highest and which one is lowest. So these are this scanner is super helpful to finding relatively obscure names that you and I wouldn't know about, right? Because they're not popular stocks. But using the scanner, Joey, you're able to find them quick as you like.
Yeah, oh, great explanation. Way to that's how essentially you filter out all the noise, screen it all out. Because so I remember when I first started trading, it's like, okay, my scanner was relatively simple. I wanted to see 1 million shares traded. Right? In the pre-market, I want to run that scan. I want to see every stock that has 1 million shares traded. What typically pops up every day? NVDA, not necessarily at the time, it was worth a lot more before it split, but Apple. So, okay, yeah, Apple, we could trade this every day, but no, there's a lot of bamboozlement. The float is huge, and sure enough, it's just like, hey, man, this stock takes a lot in order to move the price action, and I actually blacklisted trading Apple from an intraday standpoint for quite some time. By the way, I'm all out of IBIT. This thing is an absolute complete, doesn't know what it's doing. There's a ton of indecision here within all of these price actions. You can see the orderliness throughout that first 15-minute drive, right? Nice, strong, bullish candles. You come back in, you print this right at VWAP, but it's like, okay, yeah, there is buying pressure within this, but it's like move down to the zone. Oh, okay, we break through. Oh, okay, no, let's put an inverted over here. And then now it's just like buying. At some point, can it break out? Yeah, but I had to get out break even on that one, okay? Am I going to be re-engaging? I don't know. Time will tell. Right now, we just sit on Wally's world right now as it's continuing to climb. 131.50, almost 3% on the day here, Sharif. So I think we're seeing a slight rotation into some of the staple names. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of the best performing sectors. You guys know what time it is.
Where is it, Joey?
Know what time it is.
Oh, my bad,
Yeah,
my bad.
It's all right.
Look at this property manager, man. She's trying to tell me that the condo gym, they're gonna start booking different equipment. Like I get if you wanna book the elliptical or whatever, like cause you're gonna be on it for like half an hour, right? And nobody else can come on it. But like you can't book the bench and the machines.
Madness,
That's
man.
crazy.
That's crazy. Bro.
Man, I gotta run for the board on this.
You gotta get
Honestly,
on that board.
I gotta get on that board. I just don't have time.
Just be, yeah, I know. You just gotta be like, yo. I'd be like, yo, let's just cut all the regulatory crap.
Yeah.
And just get doing things. All right, Sharif, let's get into these
Get it,
sectors.
Joey.
I know you got something going on here.
it's okay.
Industrials leading the way. Healthcare sitting in second place. Utilities, consumer staples, the name that we are trading here today in Walmart. Consumer staples up 1.3. A whole lot of green. Financials holding on to it as well. 0.25%. We'll take that. Consumer discretionary, same thing. And then communication service, quarter. So the only real red one here is the tech. Like, come on, tech. What is this garbage?
What happened, Joey?
Down 0.5%. The only one, but let's not get it twisted here, folks. We know this. We've seen this story before. It's either it's going to take an absolute beating or it's going to do the beating. And it's like, oh, man. Like, what do? We missed out on the AMD run. We missed out on the all of these runs, but then it does typically get hit the hardest. Over the past year, in the IWM, the best performing indice here, guys. With
Which one, Joey?
IWM, my boy, 41.5% in the past year. Q's 39.32. Are you in something?
No.
Oh, you're doing that for the
IWM because I trade small caps,
you trade
man.
so well, put it together, man. God, jeez. Who hired this guy? Anyways, nonetheless, guys, SPY sitting in around a little bit below 30%, but that's not too bad, right? Let's take that into consideration. And the Dow in last place, but I thought the Dow was the market, Donald.
Yeah.
What happened
I love
there?
the fact that he
performing one.
Because he's so old.
Yeah.
He's born the same year as my mom, Dukes, 49.
Oh,
right?
yeah?
So he's old. Let's be honest about
he's
it. So
up there.
the Dow used to be, like the king of the market.
Yeah,
You're looking at the Dow. No, not anymore, man. It's come on. It's a NASDAQ, it's a SPY, right?
But we do have a couple of kings in the Dow, Sharif. You know where I'm going to head with this one? No? Caterpillar.
Oh, you want to talk about Caterpillar?
I'm not. Hold on. Let me
I'm
talk
willing
about,
to talk about
I'm willing
Caterpillar
to talk
if you
about-
want to talk about
Let me talk
Caterpillar.
about it here for a second because I don't know anybody who's in this name. I don't
love
know anybody.
Caterpillar.
We love Caterpillar. Neo loves Caterpillar. Sharif
sir.
may or may not be in it. I'll let him disclose that. But that's all I hear every morning now is Caterpillar and Bloom Energy. I'm just like, all right, man, let me sit down here and get things rolling. 891 continuing to climb. But as Brenda was talking about this morning, you're spending all this money and someone has to really start the build out. You have to dig the foundations. You need to use all of the machinery. Mitch was talking about, he's like, we need to get the dozers in there, the rock trucks, the excavators, the rollers, and everything along those lines in order to establish and really start this build out. And this name, Caterpillar and John Deere, being at the forefront of that. And then we also, our boy Mateo over in the back office there, Sharif, likes concrete names.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Gotta
he's from
pour the-
Woodbridge, right? So that does
Well,
make sense,
you
yeah.
put the two together, makes a lot of sense. But no, the concrete play, right? For those who don't know, Woodbridge, Ontario.
No one's going to understand that unless you're from Toronto,
But
right?
no, the concrete play is a good one. You have to pour the foundations,
Yeah, man.
and it gets expensive as well too. So
Okay, before we
picks
go
and
to Adara, Joey, Skills, SKLZ, pardon me, ripping up. AKAN ripping up as well. It's taking out 46. It's on the way to 47. I think that is really where a lot of the shorts are sitting and or the sellers. I think if 47 gets cleared decisively, we're going to be Halt City. Halt City. Let's see if we can get up there. We're going to Adara.
Benign Cloudflare here, guys. NET to the upside. Cloudflare apparently announcing that through a new protocol they built with Stripe, AI agents are now able to create accounts, start paid subscriptions, buy domains, and deploy apps for users. So again, new AI agent deployment, I guess, happening here through Stripe. Cloudflare still saying also, though, that users are required to approve access and accept terms. The rest of the flow is able to run end-to-end through this AI agent program. Again, NET getting a little bit of a spike here on that news.
Thank you. Somebody asked me to do some TA for AMD. I like the higher lows. I don't necessarily like that aggressive sell Sorry, let me put in the ticker so everybody else can follow along. I'm also keeping a close eye here on AKAN as it's dancing around 47. As I mentioned, 47 to me, big resistance level. So I don't like that flush, but looks like maybe somebody was taking some profits on that that open, market on open. Double bottoms there in the 333. 333 stood out yesterday in the aftermarket as a clear area of support. Take a quick gander at us holding that level. So it does jive that we hold that level. And then we make a higher low. Looks as if it was at 338. There was a buyer there in the pre. I don't know. I like the higher lows. What I do want to see, though, is a decisive clearing of 350 because we're south of that right now. Look, you broke through 350 momentarily, but the selling came in quite aggressive all the way down to 345.5. Oh, no. AKAN is ripping, man. This is what happens when you start doing TA. It's ripping, Joey. It could be on the way. There's 49. Let's see for the dips into 48 if we can kind of pick up a quick dip off that level. Looks like there's a buyer at 48.5. We're going to Adara.
Comments on watch here from Qualcomm CEO Cristiano Amon. He's saying that new AI chip business from Qualcomm is going to be material by next year, 2027. QCOM not moving too much here on this, but again, strong post-earnings performance and CEO Cristiano Amon indicating their new AI chip business could be material by next year. Back to you.
All right, man, I don't even have it, but we'll do this. Wally's World here, hitting $1 here approximately off that bounce on the volume weighted average price. A nice strong movement, guys. We're gonna hit 3% here momentarily on the day. A nice re-entry on NVDL. Bitcoin looks like it's gonna break up soon. So this consolidation, maybe we just had to get out of that 5-minute time frame and head to something a little bit higher and just eliminate some of the noise. Oh man, this thing is actually really ripping. We pieced some out here on NVDL on that re-entry. There's a 5-minute indecision print on that low. I was using this previous base of $94 as my stop. We did get an uptick, but now we're starting to slowly come in. But nonetheless, Walmart doing its thing. And watch out for this breakout in Bitcoin. A long time consolidation and accumulation right here. I wouldn't be surprised if we really get rocking and rolling. We still have this trend intact. And there's a 5-minute candle sitting on top of it. So a lot of fake out and indecision prints that were just misleading essentially. So, oh well, we took it. We took a little bit of profit on it. Nothing that we wanted, but there it is, man. It's there it goes. It's a breaking out. So yeah, it's unfortunate we missed that trade.
All right, looking here for a hold of 47 on AKAN. If this was going to be the real resistance level, I'm looking for it to act as support now. We're out of the money, man. We're $1 out of the money right now, but I'm looking for a hold. This was part of my plan to allow it to come back into 47. The only lament that I have is I didn't add at that level. There it is, back into 48.30. Looking for another attempt to breach prior bar high. The high of the day is 49.12. Zigging and zagging at 48. No continuation quite yet into 50, but we are so close to 50. You'd think the buyers would be stepping in here quite aggressively into that $50 area, but maybe 49.12 is as good as we're going to do on the day. Now you can see aggressive selling at 48, dropping back down now into 47.5. I'm going to pack the patience here, Joey, into 47. If 47 doesn't hold, then I'm out. I'm keeping a close eye, though, on the local sellers in and around 48, because look at that. They're stepping in aggressively here at 48. But that means two things. Obviously, one, it means we reject if we can't clear them. But if they do get removed, usually there's an aggressive price spike up above that 48 level, typically 40, 50 pennies. Really, there's no hard and fast rule. It depends on the name. But that's what I'm watching right now. I'm looking for a 47 hold.
All right. What's Wendy's doing? Yeah, we know it. Sometimes it's all true. I would still want to post about it. Okay, yeah. But let's not speak like that. Nonetheless, here it is. NVDL, guys, starting to come back in against us. 94.53. That's a pretty good one. And we're still sitting in the same Walmart trade. Starting to come back in. So that chop just living up to its name in IBIT. So we'll avoid that. We'll see if we can find something else. How's Google been performing? We have Tesla up here, Walmart. I was looking to go long this Meta via FBL here. So this is a 2x leverage play. We're starting to pull back. I might have to just trail this out. Yeah, let's trail out here on NVDA via NVDL. This thing's down 8%, so down 4% in an the underlying asset. Now, as for this, nice trend. Right? Nice steady grind. I don't know if today's going to be the session where we recover, but at some point we will. So I'll be keeping my eyes on it. I'll use this as my vehicle to trade. And then once we start to establish, I mean, we zoom out a little bit, and you can see on the 5-minute time frame, multiple downtrends have been broken, right? So there it is, bang, to the downside. And then sure enough, we start to climb a little bit higher. Yeah, what do you got, Sharif?
This is ripping up, Joey. Here is the high of the day, and we added into the freaking low. Give me my money, man. We're up big on this one. Let's go. We're looking for the move into 50, Joey. We got 47.72. We got to look for the clearing of 50 here. Let's see. Can we hold 49? Joey, it's a 49.54 high of day. I'm looking for that 45 move. Anything below 48 now. We're going to move up the stop. We're going to look to basically take profits and get the hell out of there because this thing is quite aggressive. Looking for a hold of 48. We're not getting quite the move into 49, but it is a 49.54 high day. The only way I got those prints, guys, I had resting orders there. I would have never been able to get that if I had thrown up the order in real time. Number one, because the offset wouldn't have got me printed. I have like a 3-penny offset on my hotkeys. That's number one. Number two, you probably would have gotten the bid price, not the ask. There it is into 49 again, Joey. And there's the print into the high of the day. 49.98. Let's go. Can we get the 93 seller? We're still holding here. I'm looking for a little bit more. Let's see if we can pop up above 50. Big selling, Joey, into that $50 area. I'm getting lit up. This is a good name. Let's see if we get into 100. We're going to pause. Or are we? We're going with Dare.
It's going to start with a piece of news that just came out here on DIS. Now, the stock actually isn't really reacting to this, but just be aware, getting comments from FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr making some allegations about Disney. We know as of yesterday, we heard they're going to be reviewing or conducting an early review, rather, of Disney's TV licensing. So just again, be aware, FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr chatting about DIS. Let's talk, though, about this market because there is a lot to discuss, lots of wild moves here for the Qs. We got here to actually just above yesterday's post-market lows, a lot of crazy herky-jerky reactions on Meg 7's earnings, which we'll get to in a second. But we rebounded quite nicely from the lows. As of right now, though, still very much within, as I mentioned, the pretty intense highs and lows of yesterday's post-market and today's pre-market action. So kind of range-bound action more or less here for the NASDAQ, though, again, above yesterday's highs. Now that we've gone through that very range-bound NASDAQ, let's talk about earnings because we had a ton last night. Here is Meta, just kind of a review of some of the year-over-year growth for Meta this quarter. Now, the family daily active persons metric, I know there were some concerns about that, but other than that here, generally pretty strong growth. Costs and expenses, though, also up here to the tune of 35% year over year. We had Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Ford, Qualcomm, CMG all report yesterday after the bell. And tonight after the bell, we get Apple, AAPL, set to report at 4:30 p.m. You're also going to get SanDisk, Rivian, Roblox, and tons of others. So please join us at the aftermarket show. Just stay with us till 4 p.m. We'll have those earnings for you. BYND also on watch here, guys, and Beyond Meat. Actually, with quite a fascinating catalyst, we had Defense News reporting that the Army is considering moving towards meatless protein options specifically for food rations, and that they're already looking at contractors who can provide them with samples of alternative proteins. That's obviously going to be a great look for a company like BYND, and it's to infinity and beyond for this stock until it gets to the $1 level. We'll have to see if we can break above that $1 level, but we're going to buzz right over here to Neil for his lesson of the day. Take it away, Neil.
Thanks, Adair. To infinity and beyond for Beyond Meat. I don't even know how far it would have to go to be infinity on that stock, but you know what? The lesson of the day here is when the market does this, and I'm going to pull up the Qs because it's better to demonstrate the downward trend we have. You had all of those all those hyperscaler and Mag 7 names, 4 of them reporting, Qualcomm reporting. There was some ups and some downs, but for the most part, if you look at what was going on with tech, all pre-market, it was just higher lows, higher highs, and then they absolutely rugged it. Right? They get rugged, didn't hold VWAP, didn't hold the pre-market low, didn't really hold prior close. There were some bounces along the way, but it was very, very nasty on the downside. And if we're being real about it, that's lower low, lower low, lower low, lower low. The first higher low on a 3-minute came at 10:30 almost. And then it still even took out that bottom to double bottom. You can make the argument that maybe you could say here it turned into a long, or maybe in here or somewhere in there. Whatever it is, you might have had to wait like an hour. But if you waited for it, or if you caught it, it was certainly worth it. So it comes down to if you're looking to buy the dip when you have a day like today, It's just a matter of making quality decisions along the way. Right? If you end up with some longs, you know they're going to work. They end up working out eventually. But it's that quality. Like, try to make the right decisions, and ultimately, you're not always going to be right. Like, I'll be the first to admit, like, I don't know that I probably should have moved a stop on IBIT. Took most of it out, and it shouldn't matter how much you have out or how much you have left. You should trade the trade. Like, I probably should have gone out when it lost at VWAP there instead of just leaving the stop in. But the first decision made was, okay, well, while we're falling, is something relatively strong? And that was the first place that I was trying to hold on to things. And the answer was yes for IBIT. Now, it's not really doing much more with it, another little VWAP action here, but that's the first decision you have to make. If you can find something relatively strong like IBIT, or maybe you happened your way into like an Apple as it was starting to make some higher lows, then that's a good first step on a dip, right? Like, as the market was continuing to make lows, Apple made the one low, then higher low, and then it's already turning into a long. So there can be instant relative strength, or there can be just relative strength that happens a little bit down the line. But once you establish that, it's easier to be buying the longs in that particular instrument. And then the other side of it comes down to, if you are catching the absolute fallen knife, just listen to the market. Right? Like, I want to try to find places where I know why I got in. I look back on it, and if it loses, I can live with it. It was a double bottom, got a higher low. It did wipe out bottom there and was able to get back in the same entry price. Thought it could maybe push into VWAP. I wanted to hold it to VWAP, but you can see it cresting at a resistance spot. Even tried an in and out there for a continuation trade after I was out. Like, I know why I'm trying to make the trade, but I'm not forcing it to go further than it wants to go. Ultimately, for all traders out there, it just comes down to how do you manage the days where it's tough, or it puts you to the test, like the long really puts you to the test, or where you're holding stuff against you, or your thesis is wrong. How are you able to manage and navigate those kind of days? And I find it comes down to, can you always stay within one shot of maybe it's getting it all back, right? Or maybe it's one shot from having a good day. And that comes with discipline. Because especially on these V-shaped kind of days where you get that heavy put to the test to the downside, something probably worked for a long at some point. But can you be alive for it? How much did you have to draw down before you got it to work? Can you make it all back if one thing pushes back? And that all stems from discipline. Can you defend every single trade that you make, whether it worked or not? You know, like, do I want to get back into silver? Sure I do, but is the thesis right? The first one, it broke a trend. Might have missed it on the way up, but we leave the order in, get the long. Doesn't break the prior bar, get away sticky keys. Can't break VWAP, get out. Holds the double bottom, holds a higher low. Can't break VWAP, give it another chance. Can't break VWAP. And now I'm done with it because the market's going higher and it's making lower highs. So each time, okay, it was okay, didn't go all the way, but every time I got in, waited for an opportunity, and then struck, and then listened to what the market is telling you. And that's when I say, I'll speak for myself, when I say keep things tight to the vest or control your losses, be disciplined, be patient, it always means I might like a direction, I might look bounce, but every single execution needs to have a reason behind it. Every single execution should have a reason behind it. Not just I think we're going up, or not just because I think I'll take some profit here. What am I doing and why am I doing it? And on a day like today, if you can answer that question, I think it's a little bit easier to navigate those dips, to not get yourself blown out. And, you know, ultimately that's what it comes down to for trading. The V-shaped bottoms are the best kinds of days, right? You get something, you hold on to it, you're going to be good to go. But if you can be more efficient on that way down, or waiting for actual signals for each of your trades, you'll only be that much better in the long run. I'll give you the update on the lunch. The pork, little bit dry. Flavor good, but a little bit dry with the pork there. So I can probably give it and again, the rice was really plain, so like a 6.8. We'll go for like a 6.8 on the lunch so far. And then it was Brussels sprouts, which I didn't necessarily love. Not a big fan of those. Good luck the rest of your trading. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. Apple, hopefully that'll do good after the bell, which we'll be covering for you as we throw you back over to Sharif and Joe. the professor and Mr. Options.
Yeah, we typically have good lunches, man. I mean, we're not gonna play like, yeah, Neil got real close.
Joey. AKAN is ripping up. There is the new high of day, $51 freaking Joseph Wilson.
Man. All right, let me finish. What was I about to say? Yeah, no, it's all right. Anyways, what I was getting at is Neil mentioned something. Is like you always putting yourself just one win away from just going back positive. I don't know if it's just me. Like, regardless if I'm 1 or 2 wins away, I just essentially, I always think that I'm just one more move away. I don't know if that's just the mentality that I have, regardless of what it is. I could be down, like almost shut down. I'm just one trade away. Not to discredit what he was saying, but he's right. But it's also, I think, a mindset of just being like, all right, if you can continue, I'm like, we're just one away. We're just one away. It's in the grasp, right? What's that? Throw it back to what Neil said, to Neil there.
Get it, Neil?
You made a really good point. Sorry, I'm just eating another bite. The other thing about being one win away, and Luis said something along these lines, and I meant to bring this up because Luis said something when trading short trades where, okay, well, if I lose on this trade, then I'm going to have to take more shares to make back that loss, and then the third time, more shares to take back that loss. It's very important that you determine what type of a trader you're going to be. Now, are you a trader that if you make a trade and you try, like, I like reversion trades, right? So I could try to buy the dip on a trend break, and the first time I take it, you say you lose like $100. Are you taking more shares to make that back when you get back in? Or are you just making the same trade because that's the trade setup? That's two very distinct styles. Now, a trader that is like myself, I'm not jumping around saying, well, if I'm down, I need to use more shares the second time through. That way it doesn't have to move as much for me to get the money back. I don't trade that way. So when I say move, like every trade, I'm not treating them drastically differently if it's the same setup. So the way I see it, the only way you can be one trade away if you lost 2-3 times in a row is that one sort of works all the way. You need to be able to make 2-3x on that trade relative to your risk. That's what it comes down to. If you are a trader who is going to, and I'm not saying everybody is, it doesn't really matter. If you are willing to just simply say, if I'm down, the next one is going to be for more, and then if it goes even further, the next one's going to be for more, then yeah, you are always, regardless, going to be in that. It could be a mindset, like Joe says, but you can structurally take that kind of a mentality. Luis does. That's not something that I do, but it is possible. I think that's incredibly risky because what ends up happening if you require I'm going to take more shares the next time. If I lose once, I take 100 shares, I'm going to take 200 the next time. If I lose, I'm going to take 400 shares the next time. If I lose, I'm going to take 800 shares the next time. The problem with that, and why I've never seen it work long-term for traders in terms of being profitable consistently, is you always have to be wary of the blow-up. And inevitably, that style, at least when I've seen it deployed, inevitably that style leads to gigantic blow-ups. And it's very difficult to manage that style where you're going to hold your winners long enough. Because remember, you're going to be in like max shares if you lost 3-4 times in a row. And then now all of a sudden you have to hold that the entire move when you don't usually have maybe that amount of shares because usually things work out for you. But if you take the max hit, you're just smoked. Like, it's a very difficult way to trade. And I'm not saying you can't do it. It's just I'd rather have the mentality of I can always just get a good one. And I know your style, Joe. I know you're a disciplined trader. You accept your losses when you're out. Not everybody can do that. Be wary of that mentality of just take more shares the next time than if it goes half the move, I can make it all back. Like that kind of a thing, while mathematically true, can get you into a lot of trouble as a trader. Anyways, just wanted to clarify that, and hopefully that made sense.
Absolutely.
All right, Chief.
Yeah, just holding here, looking for a 51 3/4 hold. It doesn't look, oh, wow, it just ripped up here. Continuing to watch. We're in at 34s. It's showing me 40, nothing to do here. There's a seller basically at 50, 40, and basically between 25 to 50, 52, 25 to 50. Here it is, ripping up into 60. There it is. There's a new high day. Looking up into 53. We've got $1 on this one, looking for more. Okay, continuing to watch, looking for 55 now, quite frankly. Let's see if we can hold up at these levels. Anything below 52, Joey, ends the trade for me. Why are you doing that? Okay, continue to watch. 53 seller locally. Again, anything below 52 ends the trade. Looking for there it is again, Joe. Up into 53.69. Looking for a bigger move here. I'm looking for the whole dollar clearance. We're not quite seeing that quite yet. There it is, up into 60. Looking for a higher print here. And there it goes into 70. Let's wet the beak up here. Good trade. We can get back in with a little bit more now. Continuing to watch. Looking for a little bit more Joseph options. Let's see if 55 could come in. This has been a good trade. Quite frankly, as you can see, we've been in this right from the get-go. Very positive on it, looking for a little bit more. I'm not trying to be greedy, but this one has not shown you that the trade is over. It is absolutely ripping up, dropping back into 52. This could be a buy area here into 52. We stepped in. There's a buyer between 51 and 4/5 and 52, okay? And that buyer is stepping in, and you can see it locally there on the 5-second time frame, okay? And for the individual in the chat was like, this guy's getting excited over pennies. Brother, this thing's moving dollars in seconds, so I don't know what you're talking about pennies over there. So, yeah, okay. Continuing to watch, 53.88, Joey. You think we get into 55s?
I have no idea, man. I'm not even really paying attention to that stock, brother. But I know you, man. When you get rolling, you get fidgety in the chair. I'm like, all right, what do you got?
Well, this is like it's a mover, right? And it's not a $2 name. It's moving dollars, right? So immediately out of the money, you can find yourself. You know what I mean?
You can get in a little bit of trouble.
Yeah.
With that one, nonetheless, guys, we didn't re-engage. We're still sitting in this Walmart trade. Again, it's just coming in off of those highs. A curl over here that I'm not in love with. I mean, there's no reason for me to get out. Am I going to trail the stop? Yeah, probably back at 131.40 if we do pull back into that zone where I had my previous outs. We could have tried to top tick this. I never re-engaged in this NVDA trade, so that one worked out for us a little bit. We had this one long. We take the break even, stop out. It starts to sell off a little bit, and then we re-engage and just gives us the ability to get into a better risk to reward. And now you can see we're slowly starting to curl over. I was looking at FBL. There is a trend line that's holding up right now, but one thing that we have to take into factor is that if a seller steps in, boom, a flush, 25.20, and it cracks and it heads towards the volume weighted average price, then it's like, oh, okay, maybe we can find an indecision print. I think at some point we will find a recovery. And I was mentioning that earlier, that you just have to be patient and wait for that day. So this is, I don't know why it says this is a 1.5 times, and I have something else telling me that it's a 2x.
Oh, FBL, they still have FB as the...
Yeah, I don't know why this thing's not changed, but it's saying it's a 1.5 leverage play, and then if we look on IB, it says 2x. So, I mean, it'd be good to know which one it actually is. We don't want it on Blue Ocean. But nonetheless, I'll probably be using this vehicle. We'll be patient and wait for that rebound in Meta, which I believe we'll get at some point. Maybe not this week, but sometime next week, all right? So other than that, guys, let's just continuously sit here in Walmart. Whoa, oh, okay, I thought we had something pop up from a volatility standpoint. As you can see, we're starting to curl back over. 131.40 will trail that stop out. You're up 2.8% here today. And then Bitcoin, I mean, we can go over this countless times throughout the day. It's not doing anything right now. So we don't even know if we have that do something emoji, but we'll just do this. We'll take a long on it. Are we happy with it? Absolutely not. It worked out for us, but it's this, man. It's laughable. It's laughable. It's laughable. I mean, it's so unfortunate, but I mean, we'll probably have to wait another couple of months for this thing to really get into play, and when it is, that's when we start rocking and rolling and having a good time. But as for this, it's just chop city right now. The market is heading towards this level once again, so you have that volume weighted average price bounce, and then now you're surpassing the opening price here on the SPY, so that's not too bad of a look, all right? So there is some signs of strength, as Kramer would typically say. There's a bull market somewhere. You just have to find it. It may not be in the chips here today.
Let's talk a little Apple, Joey. I want to get your thoughts on some Apple. What do you think going into the print tonight, Joseph?
I think sales are going to be good. I think China sales are going to be up.
I know.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I stand. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the other consumables like laptops, aside from that, are down a little bit. iPad down.
Though? Remember that?
Yeah, that thing.
Could move the needle.
It could move the needle, but I think sales in iPad will be down, and then maybe some.
Yeah, the iPad.
Yeah.
And the thing is,
sorry, one more thing. Service revenue probably going to go.
You know what I heard from Turnus the other day, that they're going to double down on services, because everybody and their mother was thinking, all right, this guy's a product guy, he's an engineer, this, that, and the other. He's going to focus on actual devices. maybe to the detriment of services. I think he tried to put the kibosh on that narrative.
Yeah.
At least initially.
Fair.
Let's see what he does IRL.
So right now, we know that we have this new management shift up. At some point, do you think you see Apple, if they happen to get Siri right at some point, like I'm not going to say kick Gemini to the curb, but they're paying them.
100%.
And they're like, why would we ever want to continue to pay these guys if we can come something else? So it's something temporarily that comes up. And do you think they get into the cloud business as well too? I mean,
I don't know. Well, they kind of are, right?
They are, right? Like, they have that, but it's
right?
not like the NeoCloud or anything.
Well, that's the
you
thing.
see.
Well, and that's a great point you bring up, because Apple's moat has been on-device inference. That's why they make the chips, and they've been pounding the table on that. So, and they're trying to sell it as a privacy thing.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not sending your information into the cloud possibly to be intercepted. It's going to be all on-device inference, if you believe where they're going, right? So I'd like to hear more about that.
They have the cash, man.
I wonder if he has a bigger role on the call today. Because, Timmy C's out September.
That's a good question.
Yeah, because he's probably going to lead the call. Obviously, he's still at the helm.
Yeah,
but I'd like to see if he has a bigger role and what kind of role he has at WWDC. Oh, so many on
When does the 18 doesn't come out till next year, right?
September. It's always
yearly.
yearly.
This is September? Yeah, okay.
It's always yearly,
So we're already at the 18, which is crazy.
Guys, BYND, not BYD, that trades on the OTC market, is ripping up. BYND is up 22.33%. What the hell is happening? Oh, here it is. Let's look. Trading higher following reports suggesting the U.S. Army wants to manufacture meatless proteins for field rations. Okay, yeah, I can see that. What's the
brother?
Yeah, what happened?
Let me say one thing.
Go ahead.
When unfortunately bombs are dropping and lead is flying around, as I typically say, do you think I'm worried about what I'm eating right now?
Okay, that's a great point. However, in order for you to do your job on the field, you need to be
nourished. But I understand that. But I mean, at the end of everything, when you have that adrenaline dump and it's just like when it's over, okay, it's just like feed me with something. I don't know.
Feed me something real.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, this is interesting here. Let's just read this quickly. Looking for meatless proteins for field rations. Also wants to manufacture such proteins on the front lines to ease burdens on the supply chain. Service, according to sources from the Combat Feeding Division of the Army's Combat Capabilities Development Commander Soldier Center, quote, is exploring how the emerging alternative protein sector can help meet several objectives, including enhanced food supply chain resilience, enabling biomanufacturing of foodstuffs in the combat-forward environments, and providing tailored, high-quality nutrition to warfighters. Is there a dollar amount here? Like, what's the contract size? What's a duration? Or all these, like, there's nothing here. I don't even see any numbers. So, okay, nice headline, but nothing really concrete. In any event, the market doesn't really care about concrete numbers. That's child's play. I'm jesting, of course, but BYND looks really good here. Now, whether or not it's able to decisively clear the dollar, I think it's a 102 high on the day. Is it 102 or 101? 101.5 area high on the day. Let's do some TA. Okay, so we're coming down from high. So we have been able to clear the dollar before. So that keeps me, a little optimistic about us definitely getting above the dollar. That's a clean hold, by the way, on the 200 EMA on the 4 hour, right? So not a bad look at all. What's the daily look like? Well, we all know what the daily looks like. Maybe we shouldn't look at that. Yeah, but BYND could definitely be a name that we get into on the day here. That is, of course, if AKAN would stop moving up. It's got all my attention. Here comes 55, Joey. 54.20 HOD. We're on the way to clearing 54. It's been a wick or two above 54, but no decisive print. This is all gas right now. It is a great look on AKAN. I don't think we should be looking elsewhere until AKAN maybe starts losing 50. And for all those who felt maybe the trade was behind them, I hope you guys all got that clean 50 drop. I think it only breached 50 by like 50 pennies. It went down to 49.5. I hope you were able to give it room because it ripped up, as you saw there, another $4 off that level. Bovin, if the contract terms and the dollar were announced on BYND, I think it will get to 20. Yeah, brother, especially if the contract is quite lucrative for the company. We'll have to compare it, of course, to what the revenue stream is. But there goes AKAN into another high of day, 54.64. We're on the move here. The bias was 50. Now the bias is 55. And let me tell you something. If it clears 55, you don't know where that's from, eh?
Yeah, let me tell you something. You got the guy
that guy that was going to get bungee dropped.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Would you ever do
fighting
that?
for his life, Joey. He didn't want to drop.
Why do you even get on that thing if you're going to be that scared?
I
don't know if I would do that, to be honest with you.
Do you like roller coasters?
I used to when I was a kid. I haven't been to Wonderland in probably 10 years. Maybe a little bit less. And I'll be honest, I didn't have as much fun as I used to.
Last time you went?
I'm like, well, why did I used to do this?
Because it's fun. I don't know.
Do you like them still?
I used to. I have, as like you, almost the exact same. I haven't been in a hot minute.
I just get a rocking headache and nauseous.
Okay, so I do get nauseous, and that has something to do with ear fluid as you get older, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
I told you I get like extremely
older
car
sucks.
sick as well too.
Yeah, get it, Joey.
FBL as it's continuing to climb up to $131.85.
Get it, Joey.
3%.
Can I say something too?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm 1 for 4 on the day, but I'm decidedly positive. Isn't that crazy how that works
That's
out?
how that works. But I'm telling you, man, it's the
1 for 4 on the day and decidedly positive.
Neil got that stuck in my head.
Yeah, man. Neil's lesson yesterday was fire.
Yeah, it's always fire, to be honest with you.
Actually, it wasn't even the lesson. It was like something he was saying before they ended the midday or the morning show. It's like he was talking about risk and something to that effect. Basically, what Neil was saying was there's usually traders that show some sort of promise, but the problem is their losers end up being bigger than their winners. So even though, and I messaged him about that, like I immediately, because it hit home, right? So yeah, Neil dropped some fire yesterday, guys.
Yeah, see, the thing is, there's obviously a flip side to every coin. Bad case scenario, anyways, it was just a joke between my friends and I. One of my friends is telling about one of his co-workers. He's like, man, he's in some bad gambling debt, and us being us, we're kind of cracking about it and laughing. And he had to stop, right? Like, he had to stop. But then the running joke was just tell him that he's 1 win away from getting back to break even, which is a horrible gambling mentality. Yeah, no, it's a joke though, right? Like, we know it's not a good thing, but that's how I truly feel at times. Anyways, Walmart starting to come back in a little bit here. Bitcoin not doing anything. This might be our entry point on NVDL here, guys. Let's try it one more time. We're having that breakout in Facebook, 256.63. And yeah, continuing to climb. The market's still hovering above, so it's not too bad of a look. We have the SPY heading towards the pre-market highs. NASDAQ lagging here, and that's obviously being due to the fact that some of these chip names, the larger ones, that is NVDA, not participating in any form of a rebound here today. Before we go off to Adara, Sharif, what do you have?
AVLN, new IPO. Thank you, Bovin, for this one. This one is ripping up. It's up 50%. It opened up at 26. It's got a 27, I think, 30 or 27.90 high. It's all green candles right now on the 5 on AVLN on the NQ. Adara.
Just keep an eye here on USO and the market. CNN reporting that the U.S. is now pressing foreign governments to join a new coalition in the Strait of Hormuz. Basically, this is going to be supporting freedom of navigation within the Strait of Hormuz as the Iran conflict continues. The coalition would be called the, quote, Maritime Freedom Construct, and it's aimed at establishing security within the Strait of Hormuz. So again, CNN reporting U.S. government asking foreign governments to join this reported Strait of Hormuz coalition. If I get more details, I'll let you know. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that. All right, we're in. There's a buyer at 27. If we lose the buyer at 27, I'm out. There's a seller. Here we go. Now we're up a little bit, looking for a little bit more. Where do we get in, Joey? 27.08. There it is, into another area high, looking for the clearing of the $0.50 here on AVLN. Shout out to the OG Bovin, calling this one out. There's 50. Nice. All right, keep looking for a little bit more. Oh, I took out everything there.
Uh-oh.
That was no good, Joey. That was no good. It's okay. We're going to get back in if it's warranted. AVLN looks good, guys. There's certainly a buyer at 27, and he was pretty staunchy. There's a seller, though, equally as staunchy here at 50 pennies, unable to print anything on the ask above 50, continuing to watch, dropping back down now. I haven't seen anything above 50 pennies here. Look at the selling. coming in at 50. So this one could lose 27. Won't lose it without me, though. I'm going to look for the break above 50. We know there's a buyer at 27. We know there's a seller at 50. So let's see which way this cookie crumbles. Now they're selling at 40. Here's 50 again. Continuing to watch. Let's see. Selling at 49. A lot of red coming in on the time and sales there. So not seeing enough green or orange. Green or orange are always bullish on my time and sales, guys. There it goes above 50. It is ripping up now into sorry, where's my AVLN? How come it's not showing up? AV. I can't even see it on my, there we go, got it. Now it's a $28 high, guys. This is looking quite good. Good move here, 28.34 high. Aggressive buying here on AVLN. I hope somebody took this with me. AKN is halted down. I didn't even see that, Bovin. I'm focused on this one. This is $1 higher from the 27.5 seller that we had. AVLN is looking really good here, up 55%. We're going to get into some of the details on this IPO in a minute, but let's let the price action settle down here. Let's see if there's going to be a buyer at 28 in the same way that there was a buyer at 27 to kind of backstop the bleeding. We'll get in a little bit over here. Let's watch. 28 buyer. So they are buying here at 28, generally 28.02, 28.01, something like that. I'm looking for the ask to drop down a little bit. Oh, it lost 28, Joey. Right back above 28 though. Okay, so the buyer is stepping in. Let's see if we can get a mid print here. I don't want to buy using my hotkey because it'll buy on the ask, and the ask is showing 21, and I don't want that. I'm looking more for around that 28 level. The bid keeps dropping below 28 though. Yeah, now the ask is below 28. Okay, so I'm gonna have to wait for this one to reset again. Let's look. So 27.50 is the only other area where we saw initial resistance. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be buying between 28 and 27.50. It would have to be off that level, but it looks like it might be recovering here. Meta draws peak demand of about 96 billion for its US bond sale. I guess they're trying to raise money every which way, Joey. They need a lot of money for that capex. Your friend Zuck there upped the capex for 26, and he said it's going to be higher in 27 as well. So
yeah,
no shortage of money requirements there, brother.
I just think it's a totally different ballpark between what Google has going on and obviously what Meta's got going on from a monetization standpoint.
Yes, bro. Yes, bro. It is. It's not
like
the
Google
same.
stating the fact that the reason why they're spending more is just we doubled our backlog, and our cloud revenue would be significantly higher if we can keep up with the demand, but we just can't.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been complaining about that, like RPOs. Like we've seen that with Oracle as well, whether or not Oracle's able to kind of meet that demand by building out enough infrastructure, but everybody and their mother in the world of cloud, and NeoCloud anyways, has been complaining about RPOs.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely, but Google is like, hey, we have the demand for it. I understand that. And I think the question is, I think it's a valid question now that we know that OpenAI is coming in a little bit lower than expectations on its revenue, right? So it's like, hey, as you mentioned before, you're like, okay, well, they're going to be reducing that spend or whatever it may be. Then who's going to be missing out on their payments? Is it Oracle?
Well, great question.
Like, who is it going to be, right? So, I mean, oh well, there it is. Continuing to climb, 3% bang there on Walmart. Let's see if we can get this trade on NVDA to work for us. This is going to be our final attempt on it. We'll go 2 for 2 so far. So, I mean, you know what they typically say, third time's a charm. Can we break up? This is a nice indecision print. Failed to establish a new low. But one thing to note, Neil will always be looking at this, channel down. Until we have the ability to break the backside of this trend, then we might be continuing its slide. But Meta holding up pretty good. Bitcoin still doing nada.
Nada. There's a 27 buyer again here on AVLN. I'm back in at the whole dollar. I'm looking for another move, another attempt here. Take out some highs. Anything below 27 does end the trade for me. Looking for that $0.50. There it goes. It crossed, but I didn't get the print because the bid didn't cross. Now we get it. Nicely in the money on this one. Almost $1 now. Let's go. Let's watch for a little bit more here on AVLN. Same area. I got in prior, right back in. Looking for that big... Man, I got to stop making these mistakes.
Would you do
yeah, another mistake. It's okay. Let's watch. Maybe we get another shot at 27. But a couple of positive trades here on AVLN. There's a 27 buyer of note, and we didn't actually print anything below 27. I was watching the time and sales pretty intently there. Let's see. There's 27 again. Let's watch now. Does it fail? Continue to watch. Showing 01s. Look at the buying coming in right at that whole dollar. That $27 level is getting defended quite well. So sorry about that. We'll continue to watch out. Let's bring in some information on this bad boy over here. Do we have good information? Yeah, we do. Let's bring that in. We'll talk a little bit about it. Let me close that, move that back up there so we can keep an eye on the price action. I'm going to keep it over here. Zoom in. So, clinical stage biopharmaceutical company, Avalin Pharma, priced at an upsized IPO, 27 again there, guys. It's still holding 27. Priced its upsized IPO of 16.67 million shares to the public at a price of $18. The gross proceeds expected to be $300 million. That's what they're raising. The underwriters have a 30-day option to buy an additional 2.5 million shares at the IPO price, so 18. Shares expected to begin trading on the NASDAQ today under AVLN. The offer is expected to close May 1st, 26. The company is focused on developing drugs for serious lung disease, especially pulmonary fibrosis and other rare respiratory conditions. So what was the range here of the, do we have the range or what's the situation? No, we don't have it. Let me have a quick look over here. See if we can find that. No, these are all just basically saying that it opened at 25.25, priced at $18. Look at this, guys. 27 still getting defended here, but for how long? And that's a bit of a concern, but there's certainly a big buyer, Joey, at 27 on AVLN.
All right, then. Yeah, so there it goes, man. This thing is not working. It's not holding up at those lows. Channel down and fully intact. So it's just honestly fade the pops right now, I believe, on NVDA. Let's pull up NVDA and see what we got going on this. Okay, stop hitting the keys so fast, man. Relax.
You talk to yourself like I talk to
myself. Yeah, all the time, man. Yeah. So yeah, there it is, right? Oh, we zoom out a little bit here. All right, so we have this essentially like a small W here. We take another one, we get that trail stop, get out, puts a new low in, and then now we're just continuing this slide here. And every pop, I'm just keeping my eyes on the tape, right? Like, and there's no real imminent signs of strength. So what we got to do is, if it cracks that low, we got to get out, which is totally fine. And then maybe it'll curl over at some point. But I think considering we've taken our couple of swings, we have that on base, you catch that single over here, a little pop fly right here with an error on the defense side, you get out break even. And then this one is just like, okay, strike out and then get out of there. Do you have the opening price? Joe, do you have the opening tap on AKAN? I can find that out for you.
25.50. 25.25, pardon me.
25.25.
Yep.
Okay. What did it, is that an, yeah, it has to be a Nazi.
Me?
No, NASDAQ, right?
Yeah.
AKAN?
Oh, AKAN.
Yeah,
sorry,
AKAN.
I thought you were AVLN. My mistake, sorry.
42.58.
Yep, bang.
42.58 there is the tap on AKAN. Halted to the downside, it looks like here, guys. So, yeah, not too good of a look. Walmart continuing to climb, so we'll rock and roll on that one. We're trying the attempts on the long side here with NVDA, but not wanting to participate in any form of recovery. We have Facebook, or Meta. Geez, get it right. Meta starting to come back in and the overall market starting to slide. Did we get to, I haven't looked at Google because our relationship is on the brink right now. I said, if you get to 280 today, then it's not going to be very good. But no, it didn't. 377, it did have a pullback with a nice indecision print right at 374. That's going to be above VWAP. So strong, strong, strong. We like this. I think it's going to continue to climb. And that's just one of the trades. It was during the tariff tantrum where I sold at the lows on Google, and it was one of my largest holdings, and I just never re-engaged in the name. And that's just, I was saying to the boys, I'm like, man, it's that one partner that you shouldn't have, like, the one that got away, and that is Google for me. So yeah, it's unfortunate that we haven't been participating on this move up.
Beautiful, bro. I mean, it's going to see 400 sooner rather than later.
Yeah, right? It's only a matter of time, really.
Joey.
Yes, sir. There it goes.
No.
Oh.
No.
Apple.
What did I say earlier in the year to you about Google?
About Google?
Yeah.
We said that it was probably going to be one of the highest market cap names.
No. Specifically, though.
Oh.
That it was going to overtake Apple by the end of the year.
Yeah, it did a while ago.
It did?
Didn't it?
It's
Yeah.
up 4.5 trillion.
Yeah,
now.
and what's Apple at right now?
4 trillion on the dollar.
Yeah. I guess some of it had to do with.
Let's see. Nvidia's down to 200, so Nvidia is below 5 trillion again. Wasn't Nvidia like 5.2 or 5.3
Something like
trillion?
it was above 5.
4.8. Yeah.
And then we have Google at
4.5. So
oh,
Google
what a
and
neck and neck
Nvidia
race,
are
man.
like a throw stone away, man.
Exactly. Dude, we called this, man.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be market cap number 1. And,
The way it is, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Google definitely deserves it. I always crap on NVIDIA, and I don't really mean to. I'm an investor. But it's just, again, I feel like the GPUs were the kind of first phase of the AI build-out, and it's going to be a little bit different going forward. But
GGLL, is that? I was wondering about this. Thank you, Scotty boy.
what happened, Joey?
You showed me this. What are we looking at from a liquidity standpoint? All right, I wonder if we have access to this thing. Probably not. We'll have to see if we can get this unlocked. GGLL, a leverage play here in Google, $131, so about half the price. Not too bad. Thank you very much for that there, Scotty T. Did you know, Scotty does know, what did I just click there? Scotty does know because, you know, Scotty doesn't know.
Okay.
Scotty does know.
Joker. All right, guys, what is this FTAI thing? What is this? Aviation, commercial jets focused. Okay, they're up big today, man. 15.6%, $25 billion market cap. Just looking through my watch list, guys, seeing any outsized names as well. What is SWKS? Skyworks solution up big as well. Wireless networking alongside mixed signal semiconductors. What is this doing here? How come it's aerospace? That's why. Okay. All right, guys. Continuing to watch AVLN here, holding up above 27, but finding a lot of resistance at 28. It's a 28.50 high of day. AVLN has been quite good as an IPO. This is a new IPO, guys. Biotech IPO, a huge buyer at 27. We took a couple of trades off that. Let's see if that level comes back in or whether we're forced to take the 28 breakout. But locally, there's a lot of selling at 28. I also want to mention AKAN kind of flushed quite aggressively. That's how these ones live, right? They live, it's kind of like that expression, you live by the sword, you die by the sword kind of thing, right? If you're ripping up, you're going to rip down. That's what this one did. In one fell swoop, it was trading at 53 3/4, and then it halted down at 45.80. And then it dropped more. But it did find support right at the volume weighted average price. So I hope some smart people had some resting orders right around VWAP there, because it popped from about 41 and change into almost 46 quick as you like. So there was certainly a scalp trade to be had there. It's still up 72%. So not a bad look. We'll see if we can execute on this again or what the afternoon will look like. Looks like AVLN dropped off there, losing the $0.50, possibly coming back down into 27s. Be on the lookout there. And Bovin keeps getting my attention to HCAI. HCAI, he's like, look, this is curling, man. It's making higher lows. I agree, Bovin. I do agree. It's just, you know, this is the lower high setup that I keep saying to you about, and that's what concerns me. With this one. So unless it really starts ripping up above in like 12.5, maybe 12 3/4, really showing us that the bottom's in and we're going to test highs again, I think I'm going to steer clear from this one. Commodity King, ENVX, say less. ENVX. What do we got with that one? Not bad, brother. What is this one? What do we got on this? So we're up 4.5 on the day. It's a $1.46 billion market cap, global high performance battery company. Okay, cool. Headline? No headline. That's fine. Decent looking bull flag, ENVX. Let's look at this. I like this. It's just a little bit of a slower mover. You're going to have to size in substantially here to make a buck or two. It looks like there's buying at 65 or 66. So you're going to have to kind of, unless it really starts breaking out, this is more of like a buyout trade where you're sitting on the bid with like 10,000 shares. At 66, and you should probably be trying to get rebates here too for adding liquidity if you're going to take big shares like that. And then you're selling, you know, like a couple of pennies higher for, you know, a couple of penny win. You make the rebate, you make the accretion there on the price, and you call it a day. But that's not really my style, quite frankly. But it's a good looking pattern. Let's look a little bit wider on the time frame on ENVX, see if there's anything doing here? Let me go to the daily. Yeah, a bunch of lower highs on this. So that one, certainly a downtrend on the daily, but there's excellent support in and around $5. Now, the problem is you've got some marginally lower lows there. So it does feel like a bit of a downward channel. Weekly, take a quick look. Yeah, that holds up there. And that big move there, that was the COVID era highs, right? But I think that this downtrend basically holds up quite well. It looks just like a downward channel, you know, with some breaches every now and again, but definitely trade the range on this. So I see what you're saying, because you're bouncing off that 455, and you could see $11, $12, quick as you like. I hope you're thinking swing on this, Commodity King, because this looks good, man. Especially the bottoms have held. If you're able to kind of stomach it moving against you a little bit, maybe down into 4, you could see 10, you could see 11, maybe even 12. And look, it has a propensity to breach this trend line, right? To pop up into some outlying areas and then retrace back. So not a bad look here on ENVX. Good call out, Commodity King.
Yeah. Bang. All right, my boy Jesse Martinez. Good thing we got out of that. I was just reading the tape on NVDL, and there goes NVDA right to the downside. That's Facebook or Meta. Nice short there. My boy Jesse Martinez. Meta down, but he's up. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. As well, even though I'm a long-term shareholder, full disclosure within the name, I don't like seeing that dramatic pullback, but nonetheless, not too bad of a play. What was I going to pull up here? This is why we got out of NVDL for just a small W once again, as we're not rebounding here on these names. iGrow fighting. Good job, Jesse. Yeah, nice work there. iGrow, Scotty, and Ryan. Don't forget 7 a.m. tomorrow or on Saturday morning. We're in Australia, all right? So the fights are going to be on super early. I get to wake up to violence, and that's essentially what I'm talking about there. So just in case you were curious, 7 a.m. I know you're an earlier. Yes, exactly, because it's in Australia.
Yeah, I'm always up early.
Yeah, make sure you.
Is it Saturday morning?
Yeah, 7 a.m. Saturday.
Oh, that's Premier League time, Joey.
So I was thinking about this the other day.
Yes, sir.
It's hard to go from watching a combat sport to watching soccer.
For you?
Yeah,
for you.
For me.
Okay.
You know
I like soccer for different
like,
reasons.
I'm just like, are they going to fight or?
It's just because you're a hockey guy, and I get hockey is very fast action. It's great. The puck's always moving. There's not a lot of stop and go. I find, with all due respect, you know that you're a hockey guy, I find hockey a little scrappy.
Yeah, it is. It's
changes. The puck changes hands multiple times, right?
It's very quick.
It's kind of hard to hold on to possession. Soccer's a little bit different.
Even the best players throughout a whole game, like you literally have control of the puck for sometimes under like 2 minutes. The whole game, right? Like
no way.
Yeah,
so it's like control for the
exactly.
Very interesting. Guys, go ahead, Joe.
No,
okay,
no worries. So, we'll pause on that. No, nonetheless, guys, this is why I wanted to break down this NVDA trade here quick. So we've had multiple attempts on this. We take that small win right there, and then we take an additional one, and the third time's a charm, but we continuously crack these lows. So we get out of that one. Again, small win, it's not a loss, and we'll take it. But what is continuously working for us throughout the day is this rotation into the staples trade, it seems. And Walmart's going to be the winner of this, and we're fortunate enough to be sitting in this position since when? Since that VWAP hold, since 1106. So yeah, it's been a pretty good one. We're not going to complain whatsoever. Bitcoin not doing anything, and it's unfortunate that NVDA can't find its way. But nonetheless, guys, we have a special guest here, Adara, bringing us an interview.
Very excited to welcome to the show this afternoon Joshua S. Lev. He is the interim president and CFO as electroCore, which you can find under the ticker ECOR or ECOR on the NASDAQ. Thank you so much for being here with us today, Joshua. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm fantastic. And I agree with Joe. There's nothing like playoff hockey.
I'm going to have to give you guys a thumbs up on that. Not someone who knows a lot about hockey myself, but in the meantime, why don't you help people know a little bit more about electroCore? For viewers who aren't familiar, can you give us a quick 30-second overview?
Yeah, look, really appreciate the opportunity. electroCore is a bioelectronic technology medicine company and a health and wellness company. We use a platform of non-invasive vagal nerve stimulation or other types of technology to help patients and to help consumers or individuals with their health and wellness goals. And we do that without having any pharmaceutical products. It's non-injectable, it's non-ingestible. You don't have to implant anything. This is all about using bioelectronic technology to help make people better.
So you guys just reported earnings for fiscal 2025, as I understand it. Can you walk us through these earnings and any key highlights that investors should know about that report?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we had another record year for the company. We've been fortunate over the course of the last 5 years. We've been growing compounded annually at about 55%. In this past year, we hit $32 million of top line revenue. And we've been able to do that while also expanding our gross profit margins to approximately 87%. So we're really thrilled with the progress in terms of the operational progress of what's been happening with the organization, right? Our fourth quarter was our highest quarter ever, $9.2 million. We continue to beat our analyst estimates, both in terms of revenue and earnings per share. And we're able to do that by showing some operating leverage with our adjusted EBITDA numbers actually improving year over year.
I'm going to congratulate you guys on the quarter. That's fantastic. I want to talk about now one of your biggest customers, which is actually the VA, apparently your largest customers. Can you walk us through the importance of that relationship and the opportunity within that relationship?
So absolutely. When I joined the company about 5-6 years ago, one of the first things we did was focus on areas where we were reliably getting paid. And namely, that was the Department of the Veterans Association or Administration for us. In that time, we've been able to grow that business line quite dramatically, and they make up approximately 27 million or 70 some odd percent of our revenue that we did in full year 2025. It's the largest integrated health system that we have here in the United States. There's approximately 9.5 million covered lives, and we've barely penetrated the market. We've dispensed for our headache product approximately 2 to 2.5% of the overall patient population. So it's a huge opportunity for us that we have in front of us. And it's great because the VA covers the product on behalf of our veterans. So not only are they getting a great standard of care and a safe product, but they're getting a product to their veterans or to our veterans that they don't need to take additional opioid-based therapeutics in order to help solve pain. And that's something that's really important to our vets and to our government.
Well, now we also know that you guys recently announced progress with Kaiser. So how important is that for your commercial expansion going forward at electroCore?
Another great question. I would say Kaiser was probably one of the largest and biggest announcements that we made over the course of 2025. We were originally on formulary with Kaiser, but now we got on contract as well. So not only are we known within Kaiser for being on formulary, but now we actually have a license to sell. So from an overall, can you penetrate the market point of view, now that we're on both formulary and on contract, we have a much better opportunity because the red tape or a lot of that red tape is gone. But we're still in the initial phases. Just by way of overall opportunity, I said beforehand, the VA makes up 9.5 million covered lives. Kaiser has about 12.5 million covered lives. So not only are they a larger market, but they're also the most akin to what the veteran department looks like. They are the largest managed care market in the country. So if we can use this beachhead strategy where we get some real adoption in Kaiser and get some real traction, develop KOLs, develop prescribers that are willing to advocate for our product, we can then leverage this for additional commercial insurance coverage, we hope, over the course of the next few years.
Well, that's very exciting, and thank you for breaking that down for us. Now, before we let you go, can you tell us what investors should be watching for in 2026, just looking ahead here?
Yeah, look, we've got some great catalysts and milestones coming up. I mean, we've spoke a lot so far over the course of this brief conversation about some of our operating results, but we're really making a lot of good R&D progress. Right? We continue to talk about the potential for launching new products, new features, and new indications for our products that currently exists. From a commercial point of view, we just brought on a new chief operating officer who's got 35 years of experience in selling into the federal marketplace, which means we can not only hopefully sell into and open up Kaiser, but accelerate our growth within the VA, open up other areas like workers' comp within the federal marketplaces, other managed care facilities like Kaiser. And then lastly, the operating results, right? 55% compounded annual growth rate. We've identified or given guidance to the public that we expect to grow approximately 30% year over year again and continue to get closer and closer to profitability as measured by adjusted EBITDA. So I'd say 3 main catalysts that we've got going on, moving on in the future, and the world is our oyster.
Very well said. Where can investors and our audience go if they want to find out more about electroCore?
Absolutely. So please go, first and foremost, most importantly, we are publicly traded on NASDAQ. Our ticker is ECOR for electroCore. You can go to find more information at electrocore.com. We have a consumer product where you can go to truevega.com and you can get a commercial version of our product that doesn't require a prescription.
Awesome. There you go, guys. NASDAQ, ECOR. Thanks again to Joshua S. Lev, Interim President and Chief Financial Officer over at electroCore. Again, guys, NASDAQ, ECOR. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
Great interview. Good.
It's good.
Good goal to have there, man. Opioids, big problem in obviously North America, as we know.
Yeah. Absolutely. So fantastic stuff there.
Yeah.
From Adara. I was looking at some of the technicals on this name as well too. So I mean,
Good.
Yeah, I mean he's talking about turning a profit relatively soon. So I wouldn't be surprised if the stock breaks out eventually. So yeah, not too bad.
Joey, we got a $5 super. I didn't see this earlier.
Yeah, we
Thank
might
you
have
very
missed
much.
a couple of them.
Yeah, we'll get to them right now. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat from Gulf Franchise. Technical trade question. Do you think EWY will hold the breakout above 250 day trend line of 155.80? Let's take a quick look at EWY. Bring it in over here. EWY. Let's see what what in the world is this beautiful looking thing? MCI, South Korea ETF. So the fund seeks to track the investment results before fees and expenses of the MSCI, Korea 2550 index, which is a free float adjusted market cap weighted index designed to measure the performance of the large and mid cap segments of the equity markets in Korea, South Korea, of course. This is a really good looking chart, and it would jive with what we've been seeing lately, which is there's been a lot of good movements in foreign markets. We've been talking about European markets as well, Japanese market, South Korean market clearly here, almost into all-time highs. So this is the weekly. Let's flip to the daily, and then we'll go a little bit smaller and smaller. So where's support being found here? Well, it's generally finding some support at the 50 exponential moving average, which is the red line. That outlying drop there probably has something to do with the war, I'm assuming, and then a recovery of trend, and then a breach of all-time highs right into 160. So your question is, the breakout above the 250, what do you mean 250? The 250 day trend line. You're talking about the 250 moving average? Gulf Franchise, tag Bovin or I, because I don't quite understand that, but you're talking about 155.80. Well, 155.80 is pretty close to all-time highs, right? Assuming you're talking about this right there, that's 156.89. Why are you looking at 155.80? What's so specific about 155.80? I'm trying to find it. It's in and around here. So quite frankly, we're above that. We've been above that with a high there of 158.83. Let's see, 158.25, 158. It looks like the real resistance level is at 158. And it's finding a lot of support. You can see these bottoming tail candles that really do hold up on the 10 EMA and the 5. Let me just bring in the ticker so everybody can follow along. I like this. Now, let's go zoom out a little bit more. Let's go monthly on this so we can kind of gauge where this one could be going. So we're all-time highs, obviously. Hard to know. Definitely hard to know, especially when it's a blue sky setup in this way. But you get that close and you clear 150, you could be on the way to 200 here. But this is more of a fundamental trade than a technical trade, quite frankly. Did he tag us? Is he still around? Yeah, he is. Joe, 250 day resistance. 250 day resistance. What does that mean? There's no 250 on here. So are you talking about the moving average?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking he was getting at there.
I asked. He didn't answer back there. So.
Not yet.
I'm not really sure. Just tag us. Let me know exactly what you mean by that. But yeah, it's a really good chart. Joe.
Yeah, really good chart. Someone asked a funny question in the chat. Nonetheless, guys, we're all out of this Walmart trade. This was pretty good. Trail stop over there for 131.60. We get out of that one. So no issues about that whatsoever. Now we're just looking for that next potential move. I don't know where we're going to find it. I mean, we don't like NVDA here today. It's channeled down. You have that pullback. We were talking about that turtle shell move, and then it curls over, and then boom, straight channel to the downside. And then we have Qualcomm giving back a lot of its move, almost tapping into 187, I think was around that high, 186.95 roughly. And then now you're down to 178.30. All right. Need I go over Bitcoin anymore? I mean, we've been talking about it. I feel like I should just take it off of the chart because it's been... I'm not even going to say it. Anyways, nonetheless, how's TKO doing here today? We're back at 185, not doing too much. Could be a good potential buy over there. So yeah, what are you guys looking at? Let's do this. I know Sean and Neil did this earlier in the day, so let's do it again. Let's kind of just get back into where we might be on the day. Red or green, put it in the chat. I'm going to put the green. I'll spam it. There you go. So put it in the chat, guys. How has your day been going? The tech names, with the exception of Google, not performing that well. But nonetheless, there's going to be opportunities elsewhere. So put it in the chat. Are you red or green? I want to know how your session is going because that could give us a good gauge on kind of the feel and the vibe. I don't see anybody replying just yet. Kind of sucks. But anyways, yeah, get that stuff in there. Let's see what you guys got. Let's head over to our options chain and see what we got. Is my chat frozen? Okay, green. We got one person replying. That's nice. Feels good. Anyways. Slow. Okay, slow. No. Okay, there we go. Jet set. Thank you. They're red all week. Rough week. That happens. Dark skin. Don't worry about that one. Green. Queen, says Jesse. Okay, nice that one. Small green. Hey, it's better than any form of red. Please. Oh, chat disconnected. Oh, that's why I don't see anything. It's because I was disconnected. Okay, now you guys are starting to come back in. Let's see how everyone else is doing. Pavin's up there. There, Jesse, yours was frozen. Bushhead's going with that red apple. That's okay, man. Tomorrow, there's another day. And then guess what? Monday morning, the exact same time the market is going to be open. NVDA, can you take a look at AMD, brother? Absolutely, before we send it back. That's the thing. It's a never ending. It's been here before us, and it'll be here long after us. So don't feel any types of FOMO. And you know what the thing is, man? There's always going to be one better trade, all right? There's always going to be, it's like, oh, I missed out on that one. It's like, oh, you missed out on the car short. Well, guess what? There's going to be something bigger and there's going to be something better than the car at one point, right? Than car trade. Here's AMD. It's like, I don't really care what NVDA is doing here today, as it's going completely opposite. So not too bad of a look whatsoever. From a low of around 332 back up to 350. I mean, what a micro pullback here. I shouldn't say that. It was down 13% if we look from that 353 high to where we just filled that gap. But then off to the races it goes. It's just like, okay, yeah, we did what we needed to do, and then we're going to start buying this thing up once again. So, yeah, a really good look in AMD. There you go. There's the recovery in NVDA. And let's see if we can find something else for us to trade here today. Other than that, I'm not overly worried. I don't know if I want to continuously take stabs on Bitcoin, considering it doesn't want to do anything. What's up, Randy?
Randy's in the house, baby. Yeah, well, I mean, they reported earnings, Randy. And what are your thoughts? Just give me your unadulterated thoughts on found on road dead.
Oh.
Fix or repair daily. I know.
Fix or repair daily, yeah.
You know, I've seen lots of interviews with Jim Farley lately, and he's inquisitive, and he likes the Chinese EVs, and he knows he's in a bit of a predicament here. Quality control and recalls, and he knows things are sliding. Can he pull it off?
Great question.
Can they get this done?
I hear what they're doing with the battery chemistry. They're playing around with the different compositions, a little cobalt here, a little nickel there.
It's more for charge times. They don't have a solid state platform yet.
No.
Nobody wants to spend a half an hour charging, whether it's a Lightning or whatever you're driving.
Yep.
I want to charge in 7 minutes
See what BYD
and get the
did?
hell out.
Yeah. See what BYD did? What is it, like 0 to 80 or 10 to 80?
80% in 9 minutes on the big pack and 6.5 on the small.
Yeah, okay, Randy, we just have to pause for a second because there's breaking news with Adara.
Both Palo Alto Networks and CrowdStrike dropping sharply here. Here's PANW, here is CRWD. Again, some of these names in the cybersecurity space to the downside. OpenAI announces their advanced account security for people at increased risks of digital attacks. Again, cybersecurity competition coming from OpenAI. In fact, in CrowdStrike, CRWD, PANW. We'll take a look as well here at Zscaler, moving down a little bit here. FTNT also moving lower, but again, CrowdStrike, Palo Alto Networks, the biggest movers here, as again, OpenAI announces a competing cybersecurity product. Back to you.
Yeah, I don't have any confidence in any OpenAI products anymore.
Oh, like that?
If it was Anthropic, I'd be a little bit
different
more
story.
But yeah.
Okay.
No, I say that tongue in cheek, of course. We'll have to continue to see. It's been a major headwind for some of the cybersecurity names. These enterprise apps that they're coming up with. All right, Randy's back, baby.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Tesla, semi production.
I heard.
Mass production.
I heard. Nevada.
Elon announced this in 2017. So here we are.
17, 10
9 years
almost,
later, and he's right on schedule. And we now have, I know, we now have mass, well, apparently, mass.
It's going to be big.
Production.
Did you see the Gates conversation? Did you ever see Elon talk about the Gates conversation that he had about the semi? Gates is like, it's not possible. I've done the math.
So they've improved on the battery. They've improved on the charge. 1.2 megawatt charging now, which is okay.
Big.
And I was just talking off camera with Neil. And there's a lot of companies that need, not want, need these trucks. With the price of diesel in the U.S. and Canada.
For sure.
So
let me ask you something quick, though, just from a logistic sense. So do they factor in all the stops? Because you know how, like, they're on the minute. Like, these guys have to drop their load by a certain time. If they're late, this, that, and the other.
So there's going to be some altered logistics.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When you start migrating to an electric fleet, a lot of these inner city carriers, you know, the truck's on the road, the tractor's on the road for 280 miles a day. And then you charge. The trailer's loaded, you're back on the road at night.
That's smart.
Okay, so for long haul, I think the max is about 525 miles. Here's the thing, though.
What?
There are lots, and I mean lots, of potential profit per semi for Tesla.
Because you're removing the diesel out of it and you're playing with electric, right?
They will sell tons of these things. Tons.
You can do that.
Pepsi, Anheuser-Busch, DHL, all the ones that have been standing orders who have been testing and you know, so there's a lot of potential profit here. I see more profit than actually the robotaxi.
I would agree, especially because it's enterprise. You're selling to corporations, too, right? You can charge them a bit more. What I'd like to know is the charge time. I think the charge time, especially because they're so time sensitive with when they need to drop off their loads and stuff like that, the charge time here gets you back on the road a little bit quicker.
According to what's called EV Insights, I think, the smaller pack, it's 550 kilowatt hours. The big one's 875. The small one can be charged 80% in 35 minutes on a 1.2 megawatt charger.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. That's really good. Yeah, that's really good.
Guy gets out of the tractor, plugs it in, they load the trailer, he goes for a coffee, does his paperwork.
Exactly.
And you're
but I think wouldn't one of the issues be finding the infrastructure, like the charging station, right? Like it's like not every route, right?
So with AI data centers sucking up all the utility power,
there you go.
Now you've got to put a 1.2 megawatt. That generator out back is only 150 kilowatt, by the way.
Oh, man.
So you need a 1.2 megawatt to charge one truck.
That's crazy.
So if you're Pepsi and you've got, I don't know, you're in Atlanta, Georgia, and you've got 200 tractors in your fleet.
Where are you going to get that power? No, that's a really good point.
So this is where the utilities have to scramble and be able to scale. And move into this space where, you know, you get a whole load. Like, that's 550 kilowatts.
I was just about to say, so just to give people an example, like a large EV battery is about 100 kilowatts. So that's so the Hummer, I think, has 125, something like that. Yeah. So just that's like 5 of those. You know what I mean? So that's the difference there.
So so Joe's right. There's a lot of infrastructure that has to be built to be able to support this. But again, with the ongoing cost of diesel, I think it's a win-win, and it's a win for Elon if they can make that much profit.
I mean, you essentially just kick everything, what's going on with the Middle East to the curb, and it's like we don't need to worry about paying fuel costs. So
well, I mean, they still have some inner city fuel costs as they make their migration, the transition over, but lots of potential here. So some exciting news for once.
It's very interesting.
And it's right on schedule 9 years later.
Sorry, we got to pause because Adara has news.
Keep an eye here on oil, guys. USO in focus. We're getting comments from President of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, saying that the world has witnessed Iran's tolerance and conciliation. I'm quoting him now. What is being done under the guise of a naval blockade is an extension of military operations against a nation paying for the price of its resistance and independence. Continuation of this oppressive approach is intolerable. So again, President of Iran here calling out the U.S. administration, so it seems, for their blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. Back to you.
There's a president turn around? I didn't know he was still alive. Oh, my bad. I'm being serious. PMI is moving up, says Bovin. Let's have a look. Producers Manufacturers Index. Joey, PMI. You know what I'm talking about there or no?
I know.
Joe's like, yo, shut up, bro. Yeah, it's ripping up, Bovin. Good call out here, PMI, 76 penny high into 73. Good trend. It looked like this one did halt up at around 1225, give or take. Let's throw in that ticker there.
Way, dude, sorry, I don't want to
interrupt. Go ahead, Joey.
Man,
Go ahead, brother.
Someone put that in the chat. Jaw P, 381 on Google.
What's wrong?
No, well, no, dude, I wanted this from, I was in this from 369, and I had the primary target of 380. I'm like, we're hitting 380 today, and now we surpassed that. I know, there's nothing to clap about, man.
That's Walmart.
Yeah, that's Wally's world right there. But I mean, man, whoever's been involved with this Google trade, I should have re-engaged in that bad boy. But nonetheless, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Neither here nor there. That's what if history. We only do for certains. No ifs, ands, or maybes.
That's what he was saying. So Addy, great call up by you. Addy, to you, never mind building the infrastructure to plug in. Where is the power coming from to power this? I'm an electrician, and the figures don't line up. That's exactly what we were saying, because he's like saying you need several megawatts to charge this. And, you know, like we have a generator that's keeping this whole thing running right now outside, and it's like, I think 500 kilowatts or something like that. So your point very well taken. He was making that point. I just think you missed that part of his analysis there. All right, we're gonna start the news segment, and then we'll kind of meet up with Sia when she's ready to go. Let's bring it in. We're starting with, you're ready to go? Excellent, okay, perfect timing. All right, Assassino, let's send it to Sia.
Let's talk about Google's earnings beat revenue at $109.9 billion versus $107.2 billion that was expected. Revenue going up 20% year over year. Google Cloud is the standout at $20.02 billion versus $18.05 billion that was expected, and it's up 63% year over year. Net income also going up, climbing by 81% year over year to $62.57 billion, and revenue has grown 15.5% to $77.25 billion. One segment, though, YouTube ads has missed at $9.88 billion versus the $9.99 billion that was expected. But subscriptions are growing faster than ads, and CapEx guidance has also moved higher to the range between $180 billion to $190 billion, with 2027 CapEx that is expected to rise significantly. Now, highlighting the AI cloud demand, it's strong enough that Google says it's compute constrained, but CapEx intensity remains the main debate between investors. Currently, Google up on the day by 9%.
I have a few points I want to make about Google. First and foremost, the TPUs, the Tensor Processing Unit, is their version of ASICs, application-specific integrated circuits. These new type of chips are a direct competitor to NVIDIA. They're not as flexible as GPUs, as Joey and I went back and forth last week on this issue, but they are cheaper and they're more efficient. So if you're looking for specific tasks, TPU definitely could compete with NVIDIA's latest GPUs. And now, in their last earnings report, we saw that they're actually selling this to people outside. They're using it. It's being used outside of Google's data centers for Google Cloud. So very interesting development there. Second, remember the search cannibalization because everyone and their mother was going to use LLMs and nobody was going to use Google search anymore? Not happening. And we saw that, number one, with the figures on the revenue continue to grow, advertising revenue continues to grow, and they've included what do they call these AI overviews and AI mode. And they're saying people using AI mode and AI overviews are actually clicking more on ads. So that theory that we had, it did make sense to me anyway. It seemed logical, not panning out in real life. Third, their CapEx is going to be significantly higher in 27. So you thought that they raised in 26 and that was bad. The CFO on the call yesterday basically using the quotes here, significantly increase in 27. So I do see some concern there with respect to CapEx, but they've been monetizing it quite well, so we can't hate on them for that. And then last but not least, Sia bringing up a very good point that they did miss on YouTube revenue, or digital ads. However, they're trying to get away and trying to separate YouTube and the digital revenue that comes along with that from their advertising revenue. They kind of wanted to stand on its own vis-a-vis YouTube Music, YouTube Premium. They're really trying to get it to be more of a subscription model, Joey, and monetize it that way rather than exclusively through ads.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this before, just the fact that I believe there's a key difference between Google increasing their CapEx compared to what Meta's doing, increasing their CapEx. We talk about monetization. Sundar's the only reasons why is because we need to keep up with the demand. They would have more cloud revenue if they had more infrastructure, so they're spending on that front. So I really like that. The backlog doubled over the year. That's insane, right? So that money can be. So RPO is really starting to gain some ground, but they have the ability to back up the spend, and that's the conversation that we're having here with Meta. Is like, can they back it up? 382 on this name as it's continuing to climb and it's breaking out. It's absolutely ridiculous. Nonetheless, Gemini app, 750 million monthly users. Insane. 19% growth. How many paid subscribers do they have? 350 million paid subscribers to YouTube and Gemini and Google One. So I mean, this name is continuously growing, and with ad revenue making up 70%, I think that's slowly going to get chipped away by the cloud service. It's going to continue to grow at a substantial rate, in which we've seen. So I like everything about this name. I've said that for quite some time, and I think that the spend here is a little bit more justifiable than what we're seeing in the names of Meta.
All right,
you're seeing an ROI.
Good call. That's actually quite interesting. I want to mention something. Let's look at the trade plan today on the morning note. What does the trade plan say? Let's zoom in. Breakout long above 377.50 with volume with a target of 380 to 385. Did you get 377.50 on the implied balance open? The answer is no. The highest print you got was 377.04. It sold off. It held 366, but take a gander at what we did over here. 377.50 with a target of 380 to 385. Google is ripping up right now, Joey. Here comes 384. We were just at 380 moments ago. We're about $4 removed off the 10 EMA on the 5 right now. And you're looking, if you're holding this, you should be wetting your beak, if you're going to believe in the plan, at around 385. I hope you did wet your beak at about 380. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you're still holding the whole thing. Good on you. But the intraday setup on the trade plan, the morning note, comes through again on Google. Look out for it. See ya.
Meta has been dropping after its user growth miss. The chart honestly speaks for itself. Revenue growth is 33% year over year, but EPS has come in at $7.31 versus the $6.79 expected. Revenue is at $56.31 billion versus $55.45 billion expected. The revenue growth year over year is the fastest since 2021, all driven by AI strength. Daily active people stand at 3.56 billion versus 3.62 billion expected. This is a bit of a miss, like I was speaking, with Meta pointing to Iran internet disruption and Russia's WhatsApp restrictions. CapEx is currently at $19.84 billion versus $27.57 billion expected. Full-year CapEx guidance has increased to the range of $125 billion to $145 billion. There is a focus, like I reiterated, on user miss, but AI spend is also creeping in, and we spoke about it yesterday. Meta's legal risks keep building up, and whether AI monetization becomes clearer is also another thing you need to keep an eye out for. Currently, Meta down on the day almost 9%.
And it's SSR, Sia, so that means at some point in the day it was down below 10. So let's talk a little about Meta. I have a few points I want to make. Number one, Zuck on the call saying yesterday that Avocado, or whatever the hell he's going to name his next LLM there, I hope it's better than Llama 4, is going to require 10 times more compute than Llama 3. No wonder he's spending up a storm. 10 times more compute, according to Zuck. Number two, ad load saturation. So what they're saying is they're basically at capacity now for ads on Instagram and Facebook, and the only way to actually generate more money is to charge more per ad. It looks like as if they've kind of reached their limit in how many ads they can have. And I gotta tell you, I do agree with that, because on Instagram, you can go clicks or 2 swipes to next story before you get to somebody else's story. So what I'm trying to say is they'll put 2 advertisements in a row on stories. So super saturated is ads on Instagram. So that's my second point. The third point is WhatsApp pay to play. Apparently they're monetizing the business WhatsApp here quite well. And I like that because that's enterprise. Enterprise usually pays a bit more than consumer, and it's a bit stickier. So that's what I like there. And then, yeah, those are the 3 points that I want to make.
Fair enough. I mean, revenue climbing 33%, fueled by a 19% increase in ad impressions, 12% increase in average price per ad. So, I mean, we know that with this name, essentially, that the driver of its revenue is 95+% coming from digital ads. Now, what I was just referring to not too long ago in regards to Google, it's fine that all this stuff is going to cost significant more compute, but how are you going to monetize this? Because we're not even really talking about Muse. Like they released, his super intelligence team released MuseSpark.
Yep.
Who knows, Adara probably has the date. But does anybody talk about this thing right now? No one's really talking about what these guys have in their pipeline, and I think that's a big issue. I talk about Google at AWS and Azure just having so much more justifiable ways to say like, hey, why we're spending this money. I don't see that coming from Zuck and company, and we always run into the issue is this going to be another Reality Labs? I don't think that's going to necessarily be the case, but he's done it before, so that has to be sitting in the back of your mind. Let him spend away. He is where he is because it's obviously Instagram and everything along those lines. And I don't want to essentially put him in the dirt, but is he getting a little bit too carried away like we've seen before? And the street reacted identical to what happened with Reality Labs spend to how it's reacting now with the continuous spending.
He does have that. He does have that kind of you propensity, right? To overspend.
You have to look at him as like a kind of a repeat offender.
And I want to kind of harp on this point. I want to get your opinion. I was getting Neil's in the morning. Do you think it has something to do with the fact that he's the founder of the company and he has sort of those founder ambitions as opposed to a later CEO who's more of a manager to kind of keep the boat afloat, increase revenue steadily year over year, and that you have a bit more risk when you're the founder because usually they're a little bit loose. A couple of screws loose like Steve Jobs. You know what I mean? Like Mark Benioff, right?
You have to be, in my opinion. I don't know, man. He has the cash, he can spend it, but it's just like we talk about AWS starting to see the money. Sundars is like, hey, we need to build more, we need to spend more because we can't meet our demands.
Right.
All we're hearing from Zuck is just like, okay, we get it that these things are going to cost more compute, but how are you going to monetize this?
Exactly. That's always been my question. All right, let's look at the technicals here on Meta because the morning note comes in good. Again, fade short into 620 to 625 if buyers fail there. I'd say that topping tail candle looks like a great failure. So if you're looking, 620 was the closing print, 619.90 was the closing print on that topping tail candle. So the fade short into 620 to 625 if buyers fail there. If you got short and around there, you were rewarded pretty quickly because right at 9:30, this thing dropped all the way down to 601, so you could have been nicely in the money there. I hope people picked that up. Recovering a little bit now above the volume weighted average price, but still south of 610. Meta having a real bad day, down over 9%.
And I want to add one more thing here, actually. So they're increasing CapEx spend by $10 billion, with the majority of that heading towards Micron and NVDA. But yeah, NVDA is to the downside, and I'm curious. I think the question is to be had.
4%, Joey.
Yeah, is that a lot to do with Google's TPUs, like one of their largest customers, right?
Bro, there's no way like a sound-minded person can hate on Jensen. You can't hate on the GPUs either because of their flexibility. But I think reasonable people can disagree that there will be a lot of headwinds for the GPUs from the custom ASICs. Where the point that I wanted to make for you last week when I didn't get into, so I did a little bit of research after, Joey, if you need to be flexible because technology is changing and you need the GPUs because the custom ASICs is designed for a specific task.
One specific task.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you want that flexibility, the Agentics is changing and I have to program it in a different way, go the GPU route.
Yeah.
It's that Swiss Army knife.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a specific task, then you save a buckload or a buttload, I should say.
But you're one-dimensional.
You're one-dimensional.
But let's give Jensen a little bit more credit to that. $2 billion into Marvell, right?
Yeah. And Grok.
He's there.
And Grok.
Exactly.
I'm not hating on him.
No, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying he's forward thinking, right? He's being strategic on how, because he probably in the back of his mind, obviously a bunch of smart people know that, like, hey, if these companies and these hyperscalers are going to continue to attempt to make their own chips, we still need to produce this stuff and compete with that and make it so much more better. And that's why I think on the last keynote, he's like, we want to be vertically and horizontally integrated, is right. So I mean, he understands where this could potentially go. I'm not going to say that market share is going to get snatched left, right, and center, because there's going to be other companies that can afford to create their own stuff. It's going to be too much from a CapEx
like we'll see in the next story, too.
Exactly, but he's prepared to kind of pivot a little bit where he needs to.
And that flexibility is a strength, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
See ya.
look at Amazon's earnings, Amazon has posted a Q1 EPS of $2.78 versus $1.63 that was estimated. Revenue at $181.5 billion versus $177.3 billion that was expected, and also a clean beat by AWS. AWS revenue has climbed 28% year over year to $37.6 billion, beating expectations and accelerating prior growth, confirming AI demand is translating to real cloud spend. Q2 revenue guidance also coming in strong between the range of $194 billion to $199 billion versus $189 billion that was estimated. But operating income guidance has come between $20 billion to $40 billion, missed slightly at the midpoint. CapEx also continues to remain elevated with a $44.2 billion in Q1 spend. Free cash flow has dropped sharply to $1.2 billion, which is a 95% decline year over year. Initially, that did spook investors in the report. Early selling has also flipped to buying. Management has reinforced AI demand, durability, and AWS pipeline strength, including a $225 billion in Trainium commitments. AI CapEx is still a concern, but AWS acceleration is also a key driver for this, and the market is rewarding its growth visibility over near-term margin pressure. Currently, Amazon not too deep in the negatives, but trading negative 1.2%.
I also want to mention here, I'm getting comments coming from a post on X from U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Now, as I mentioned earlier, he was making some comments. We also had comments from the likes of Kevin Hassett, so lots of comments from Trump's economic team today. Bessent, though, right now, mentioning the talks that he had this morning with Vice Premier He Lifeng of China to discuss President Trump's upcoming trip to China in just about 2 weeks. He said their meeting was, quote, both candid and comprehensive. Apparently, Bessent emphasizing that China's provocative extraterritorial regulations, in his opinion, have a chilling effect on global supply chains, and he said he looks forward to, quote, a productive summit between Trump and Xi in China. So again, just comments here from Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent on maybe some of the goals here in Trump and Xi's meeting in just a couple weeks. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adara. All right, guys, let's talk a little Amazon. I have a few points that I want to make. The first one, very similar to my first point on Google, Trainium, Gravitron, Nitro, those are all names for Amazon's custom silicon that they're using internally, and now they're generating $20 billion in revenue annually just by selling their chips. So I love that. We didn't really have a number for Google. I have a couple of more points here, but we got to go to Adara.
It's kind of funny, Sharif, because I know probably like 20, 30 minutes ago now, you mentioned that we talked about this OpenAI story, dropping CrowdStrike and Palo Alto Networks, how OpenAI is a cybersecurity feature. And you said, oh, well, wait and see if Anthropic has one. Anthropic literally just announced their cybersecurity feature. Claude Security now available in public beta. So now, like literally twice in less than an hour, these cybersecurity names facing competition, from these AI companies. Now Anthropic again. About an hour ago, we had OpenAI. Back to you.
Much for there, Adara. And here is the video. If anybody interested in it, it's on the Claude website. It was posted 3 minutes ago. It only has 188 views, Joey. And this is what they're talking about. Now, this concerns me because we know that Anthropic is very good at enterprise software design, especially agentic enterprise. So, you know, I'm not hating on Altman, but I think that a lot more capable is Anthropic. Let me go on here. So I do love the Gravitron, the Trainium, and the Nitro angle for Amazon's custom silicon. They've been using it internally, and now they're selling it to the tune of about $20 billion run rate per year. Love that. Number two, AWS capacity. Joey, Andy Jassy on the call, he revealed that AWS is currently facing massive unserved demand. He says on the call, major clients reportedly tried to buy out the entire 2026 capacity for the Gravitron trips, and he had to tell them, sorry, I can't do it. I got to turn you down. I got to supply other customers. It's a good problem to have. So like that. Number three, the Anthropic angle. Joey, how much you think they made, unrealized, of course, how much you think they made on their investment in Anthropic with the latest $16.8 billion in unrealized pre-tax gains from their investment in Anthropic? Without this non-operating gain, the bottom line beat would have looked significantly more modest. You got to love that. And by the way, I read this morning, Anthropic looking at raising again at a $900 billion valuation. How about that?
It's going to be a trilly, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be a trillion.
Just in case you were curious, Sharif, I know everybody was really curious about this fact. Store segment unit growth accelerated 15%, but now ranking as the second largest grocer in the U.S.
I like that.
That's huge, right? From the e-commerce. It's funny because we talk about
good food, Joey. They got good food.
Amazon?
I got some stuff. Oh, from Walmart.
No, it's the Amazon.
Yeah, I was thinking Walmart.
But
My
you
bad.
see what I'm getting at here? Amazon. You would think it's Walmart, right? But Amazon's starting to gain a little bit of ground. But it's funny because just like I was going to use the example, we don't really talk about YouTube, even though we did touch on it a little bit. It's all about cloud right now. You can almost, I'm not going to say kick it to the curb because it's a key driver, but with Amazon, it's like, okay, yeah, that stuff is all fun and games, that's cool, but what is AWS telling us? What kind of growth are we seeing in the cloud segment? And I think that's something that we really hyper-focus on right now, and rightfully so. Chip business grew 40% year over year. AWS, substantial 28% year over year, so continuing to climb, and kind of the foundry of some of these names is not really the hyper-focus anymore as you look at this new forming technology in Neo.
It's a great point. Yeah. Let's look at the technicals here on Amazon. Does it jive with the morning note? Last setup there on the trade plan for AMZN. Fade setup only if failure at the highs with a rejection and loss of 268. Then target 262 fill gap. So what happened here? Right at the open, right? I want to say right around 920, started seeing topping tail candles into 273. Then all hell broke loose to the downside. So you had a failure of the highs. You should have been getting short around 268. 268 would have been generally the pre-market low. So if you held 268, you certainly printed into 262, which did act as a little bit of a resistance level there, but you would have been wise to hold on to this one because it did print 256s, trying to move up now into about that 260 area. It's knocking on the door, 259.97, but that would have been a good fade there off that 268 short. Couple of aggressive red candles there to start the day. I didn't see this happen because I was at the gym. 9:30, 9:35. This one flushed quite aggressively. See ya.
Yeah, we're taking a look at Microsoft now. Before I dive into the story, let's keep in mind that Microsoft was the first company to showcase its AI revenue back in October of 2023, where they revealed the 3 percentage points that of Azure's revenue growth that were directly attributable to its AI services. So they are seeing those AI benefits, which means relative growth rates are higher, and AI run rate is also higher than anyone at this point. With that, Microsoft has beat Q3 estimates with EPS of $4.27 versus $4.06 and revenue of $82.89 billion versus $81.39 billion, with total revenue up 18%. Azure and cloud services have grown 40% above expectations, while intelligent cloud revenue has hit $34.68 billion versus $34.27 billion that was expected. And 365 Copilot now has 20 million plus seats, up from 15 million in January, and AI annualized revenue has reached $37 billion, up 123%. But a key thing to note here is that the 400 million plus users for 365 Copilot, there's only 20 million that are paying right now. So the overtime penetration rate is going to increase and see like a much more rapid growth rate. Q4 revenue guidance is also at a midpoint of $87.25 billion, which was slightly below consensus, and operating margin is also expected to fall 44%. The AI demand story, however, is intact, with investors still judging whether the massive infrastructure spending can convert into durable margin expansion. But Adara, what's your take on Microsoft?
So I think this is an interesting one. I just wanted to kind of show you guys how all of this revenue breaks down. So if there are three main revenue categories here, productivity and business processes by far the largest. Then you've got the intelligent cloud and more personal computing, the only segment that declined year over year, although not by much, only about 1% year over year decline. In terms of growth, though, I do want to talk here about some of these segments. Microsoft Cloud RPO, which is this big orange bar here, it's up 99% year over year, which of course is exciting, but actually last quarter, that growth was higher. It was at 110% year over year. So something I want to note, I also want to talk about this last bar here, that Azure and cloud services growth. Now, this infographic here, not available yet on X at TTV Research. The previous one is. And I'll probably post this tomorrow, but I do want to kind of zoom in to show you guys something pretty interesting. People keep talking about, oh, the growth slowdown here in Azure Azure, okay, these are like the last 4 quarters here. So from Q4 25 to Q3 26, guys, it's just like, it's flat. It's not slowing down. It's just flat. I do think for Azure to pick back up, we probably need to see that acceleration of growth beyond that high 30s, early 40% margin. But again, crawling back higher here from these growth lows in Q4 2023. So comparatively not that bad. It's also, though, really difficult for any company to sustain like over 100% growth year over year in any segment. But I did want to address cloud growth because I know this is something we heard spoken about a lot in Microsoft. I did go back like literally through all the reports to get this research, to get this growth for you guys here. And as I mentioned, it's been declining for a while. If anything, I actually think if we can get above that 40% mark, this could be a pivot and a nice return to stronger growth for MSFT for cloud.
All right, thank you very much. I have 3 points that I want to make. First time on the call, Nadella saying that power now is the biggest bottleneck and constraint to growth than GPUs or whatever other chips. So that's an interesting development. Nothing that we didn't know. Bring your own power, obviously, is one of the reasons a lot of these data centers got canceled. Joey and I talked about this last week. 30% of the data centers that were applied for in 25 were kiboshed. Now that I think it's up to 60, maybe even more. So people not having it with data centers, they don't want it affecting their cost for electricity, and that's having a real pressure here on some of these hyperscalers. Number 2, Copilot, not doing well.
Why is it funny?
Sorry, because of you.
Why is it funny,
I don't know, bro. I'll forever associate you with Copilot, even though I know you don't use it anymore. That's fine, right? So apparently, despite the record revenue, he likes it. Despite the record revenue, there was actually a slight decline in Office 365, right? And that kind of confirms that AI is eating into the margins, Katina, man. They're saying that enterprise customers require fewer human licenses to do the same work. So that is a bit of a headwind for them from the Copilot, because that's a big revenue generator for them, especially Office 365. And then last but not least, something I didn't know, the Llama integration. Can you believe that with all the CapEx that Zuck has spent, Llama is being hosted mostly on Azure, and we know Llama is hot garbage, whether you're looking at 3 or 4. Microsoft doesn't care. They're printing up a storm from hosting Zuck and his failing LLM on Azure, and so to them it's fine. So that's actually quite interesting. I didn't know that Llama was being hosted on Azure, or the most of Llama anyway is being hosted on Azure.
Yeah, a lot of people calling it Joe Pilot.
Joe Pilot, I love it. That's great.
What's up, Sean? How many dollars in the money are you right now?
Katina Man is $7.
Yeah, don't even tell me what is it, man. Just say this.
No, I just put it up because you guys are talking about. Well, it's $8 on my phone. That's not what we're talking.
Don't act like you had anything else.
I got the dollar wrong
there. It's not what we're talking about. It's just here. No, I just wanted to say that I did take a shot there on Meta. You guys are talking about Meta. Meta just flew into the VWAP right there. So it's this, Joe. I just put this on 10 minutes ago. This is now $2 in the money. So there it goes right there off of VWAP. I saw it hit there. Obviously, we get back from the gym. We put on these trades. So I'm still got the Marvell. We got stopped out. We got the TQs. That trade is still in. This is this is long from here, Joe and Sharif. This is still long right there. Trying to get that going back to the upside.
Good job, brother. That's
so
great.
far, so good as we hold on here for dear life. And then, of course, Marvell, 157 long.
My man.
But we're trying to do our best over here, having a good time listening to you guys. And, good job, Sia and everybody on this information.
You're killing it.
What's up with the
I love listening to it. Man. All right, I'm out here.
Got the Red Sox hat, Katina
crazy.
Man, though. That's kind of crazy. I guess they talked about it. Adara has breaking news.
Yeah, let's go. And then I'll make my point about...
I have a glut of oil headlines coming through here. As you can see, USO just briefly spiking here to the intraday lows, and actually just below pre-market lows. Keep an eye here. A couple of different catalysts. For one, Jerusalem Post reporting that Iran could run out of oil storage within weeks amid pressure from the U.S. blockade. Second story here, we've got... Al Jazeera and Israel's Channel 12 reporting that Pakistan is expecting a new Iran proposal this week. Also, Israel reportedly preparing to announce the failure of its own negotiations with Iran. So a couple different Iran negotiation announcements expected. And then last but not least, CBS reporting that Trump admin officials are in discussions with lawmakers regarding an Iran war authorization ahead of an upcoming deadline. So that's going to be of note. Again, basically here, Iran's oil under pressure, Pakistan thinking they're going to get a new proposal from Iran, and Israel preparing to announce that negotiations with Iran for them have not gone well as we apparently prepare for war authorization with Iran from the Trump admin. Lots of headlines, guys. That's why you have to stick here with us at Trader TV Live.
Yeah,
All right. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I was just touch a little bit here. I mean, listen, the stock's down 22% over the past 6 months, right? It hasn't been performing from the Mag 7 standpoint. But I think what's really important is going from $53 billion to $7 billion in cash flow. The street's not going to like that. But what I find somewhat comical, I know we joke around about how Joe uses Copilot. I don't use it anymore, but I think it speaks for itself, right? I mean, this thing has, Sia was telling us 20 million paid users, adding 5 million. I mean, Gemini is eating that lunch, and Claude is eating Copilot's lunch, and then you have ChatGPT doing the exact same thing. These are minuscule numbers compared to what we were just talking about. 350 million active users on Gemini with 150 million paid subs. I mean, it's not even relatively close. These aren't comparable tools at all, considering. I mean, it's such small numbers we're seeing in Microsoft, so I can see why the street's not liking the increase, almost 66% in CapEx, going from 155 billion up to 190 billion dollars in 2026.
That's not chump change.
No, man. I mean, and that's why I said I can justify what's going on with Google. Look how many monthly active users they have. Look how many paid subs they have.
Yep.
But you don't see that in Copilot.
And they have the eyes of 90% of the search users, or whatever it is. They have 90%.
I heard you and Brendo talking about this this morning. Just the fact that it's like, hey, we were also worried that OpenAI was going to come and steal everything. But so one thing that I'll say is that you and I were also saying this, and I made this point way like a while ago, that Google had the most potential to be the best one due to the amount of data that they were storing within search.
I was going to peg them to have the best LLMs because they had the most data off which to train, right? But then it became less about training and more about what we can infer from that data. It became all about inference and agents, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And we were worried about it because they weren't releasing that quality of a product at that time. But then I talked about the leapfrog that we're seeing within these at the top of the class, first to the market, OpenAI. It felt like this thing was going to be the bee's knees of essentially all these LLM and AI tools. That's not the case anymore as Claude's starting to leapfrog. And then you have such cool tools within Gemini. You have the nano bananas of everything. So yeah, I mean,
and OpenAI dropped Sora because they didn't have enough compute for it.
Yeah, they don't.
Nano Banana's still around.
Nano Banana's still
Let's look at the technicals, Joey, and the one that I'm looking at here. Let's zoom in so you guys can see it equally as well. What's going on over there, Katina Man? Meta's ripping up, says the Katina Man. Yeah, but it's not 9% anymore. Failure short below 410. Risk of flush to 405, then 400. Did you get that 410 short? Oh, you did. Because you got it pretty quickly, right at 925. Did you get another opportunity to right at 930? If you took the open, you did. It did dip down, so that's the candle right there, the low of which is 410.01. It popped back up into 414. Then look what the subsequent candle did. All hell broke loose to the downside, 408.69. So you're looking here at covering between 405 and then 400. You certainly got, there's actually good support here at 405. You can kind of see that. And then 400 did lose, so you would have made a little bit more money into 397, looks like 398, recovering right now above 401. That's right off the morning note, guys. You had 3 different intraday setups. You had a breakout long, a pullback long, and a failure short below 410. I hope somebody took that. Joey.
Yes, sir.
Got a super.
From my boy.
Yeah. Danny Boy, Fade Runner, dropping 5 in the chat. Good afternoon, beak wetters. I'm curious to get your take on GEV. I jumped on the recent dip, but thought it would pop higher today. Should we have a look at GEV?
I think the fade, to pull up GEV, I think Fade Runner is a reference to maybe Blade Runner.
Okay. Hey, you know better than me, that kind of stuff. Let's look at the daily on this, Joey. So I'm curious to get your take. I jumped in on the recent dips. So I'm assuming the recent dips means you got in at around 1,050 because those were the 2 bottoming tail candles, both on the 28th and the 29th. They both defended 1,050. So you had 4 red days after a monster move up on the 22nd. They reported on that day or what? Usually that's a big move. Looks like you're finding some resistance, 1175. I think it's a healthy pullback. I would say even to 1,000. There was clearly resistance at 1,000 before that big day on the 22nd. You're buying off there, I'm assuming. What I'd be looking for, doesn't look like you're going to get it on the day, but you have a higher low today. That's for sure. What I'd be looking for tomorrow is a higher high above yesterday's print. I'm looking on the daily here. So yesterday's high is 1107.50. That's not right. What? Yesterday, yeah, 1107.50. Correction, sorry. So if you get above that, say you work into 1110, then you're back, in trend. So I do like the fact that today we have a higher low than yesterday's wick there, which bounced off 1050. But look for that higher high breach. That's what I'd be looking for there. Do you have a view on GEV, or should we just go on?
Just move forward, man.
All right, see ya. What do we got next?
Also, just before I hop into the next story, I remember reading that GE Vernova did officially announce as of yesterday that it has secured a significant order to modernize and secure 2 major power plants in Egypt. Just another news that I saw yesterday. Anyways, let's move on to our next story. USO, oil has hit fresh wartime highs before just reversing. Now, Axios has reported that the U.S. Central Command may brief U.S. President Donald Trump on potential Iran military action. We also saw that headline that Adara just talked about, that Iran may run out of oil storage within weeks under the U.S. blockade pressure. Jerusalem Post reporting that. And U.S. President Donald Trump has reportedly rejected Iran's offer, as we have been hearing, to reopen the Strait of Hormuz without a broader deal that focuses on the nuclear stance, as we heard. Goldman is estimating that Hormuz exports to collapse just to 4% of normal levels, and oil is currently, as you know it, headline-driven. USO can potentially and will potentially continue to stay volatile because 1, traders are pricing blockade risk, 2, there is military escalation, and 3, demand destruction. Currently, USO down almost 4%.
Yeah, I don't know. Like every time we talk about oil, I don't really have anything to add. It's very headline-driven, and we'll know when we know. Right? I mean, if there's going to be a peace deal, great. Does it hold? We'll find out. But I think that's entirely the look here. I don't think that there's any more nuance than that. There's a lot of military planning. I'm assuming, obviously, that's going into it, none of which you and I are privy to. But what are your thoughts here? I don't have anything.
Yeah, I don't have much to say, honestly. It's going to be the ongoing ping-pong match, I think. It's started to cool down a little bit here, but we'll go back and forth, talking about that blockade remaining until you get this deal done. And that's going to be the nature of the beast. Until there becomes an absolute conclusion of this conflict, then expect spikes here and there, volatility coming into the market. He said, she said, the same narrative that we've seen over the past couple of months.
So true. What I did want to talk about, though, I'm not going to talk about the headline-driven nature of USO, but let's talk about the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, pulling out of OPEC. Wouldn't be the first time. Qatar's done it. Angola, there's been a bunch of other countries. But listen to this.
I'm listening.
Saudi Arabia, UAE, what do they share in common when it comes to oil? I'll just tell you. They have the most amount of spare capacity that they can play around with. If they want to increase production, they have the ability to do that. Other countries do, but not nearly as much as them. Why does that matter? Because basically it was those two that were, sometimes together, sometimes against one another in OPEC that could actually put a bottom on the price. So for example, if demand dropped, they could cut production enough, and they had the storage capacity to be able to hold on to it so that there would be a price bottom. Now, it's going to be UAE. Look, Saudi wants to put a cut or wants to cut their production. Do your own thing, bro.
Yeah.
We're going to do it. We're not part of OPEC anymore. We're not cutting production. That allows prices to theoretically, at least theoretically, drop below what Saudi Arabia was allowing it to drop to. So I do like that. I do like the fact that the cartel is getting some competition. That's how I see it. See ya.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at Carvana. Carvana has reported a $6.43 billion revenue, which is up 52% year over year, which shows a top-line acceleration above expectations, well above expectations of $6.16 billion. EPS has come in at $1.69 versus the estimated at $1.42, which is an 18.7% surprise. Retail unit sales are at 187,393 versus 183,362 estimated, and this is all thanks to the demand holding up despite the higher rates. Retail GPU currently at $3,165 versus $3,056 estimated. Why? Because of continuing margin expansion. Total GPU currently at $6,783 versus the $6,637 estimated, and this confirms operational efficiency gains. Retail revenue is at $4.83 billion, which is 62% up year over year. And the primary growth engine is remaining strong. Wholesale revenue at $1.08 billion, which is declining, negative 24.9% year over year. This is weaker, but it's being offset by the retail strength. Other segments are coming in at $526 million, up 35% year over year. Ancillary growth helping the overall mix, but the stock is already 29% up since the past month, and currently CVNA down on the day 1.3%.
All right, I have 3 points I want to make here. Number one, it looks as if they finally fully integrated their Adara acquisition or whatever into their physical auction sites. So the problem was that they were basically having to ship these cars all over, and that was costing them a lot of money. So that was actually one of the reasons they almost went bankrupt in 2022. Allows them to recondition the cars, to sell them to wholesalers on the same lot, virtually eliminating, according to the report, the massive transport costs that, again, hurt them in 22. That's point number one. The other point that I want to say there is the non-vehicle fintech revenue. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of people took out car loans during the higher rate environment before we started getting the rate cuts. Apparently, they're selling those loans to basically subprime lenders or other lenders who are buying them, and basically they're removing them off their books and making big money on them. So they're almost acting as like a lender or a subprime lender that just happens to sell cars. Good margins in that business. That's point number two. Point number three, apparently they have like this inventory starvation strategy. And by that, I mean they're kind of like trying to keep the total inventory down. In fact, I think it's down 15% year over year, their total inventory. And the idea here is to keep it artificially low, forcing higher margins per car and kind of avoiding that depreciation trap and having to kind of offload them for a loss or not as much. So those are the 3 points that I like. I think the stock did run up pretty aggressively, Joey, into earnings. Or was it? Yeah, let's see. Let's look at the daily over here. No, not really. It was coming off the lows. It found good support at 280. So we'll see if it can recover that $400 level. It's about $10 below right now.
Yeah, all right, good stuff there. Unit sales up from 185,000 units sold up to 193,500. Total revenue $6.8 billion. That's up from $6.7 billion. Adjusted earnings $722 million, up from 721. Now, Carvana vehicles sold up more than 40% for the sixth consecutive quarter, which I think is pretty big. The company's unit sales came in around 3% higher than the consensus of 182,000, as I mentioned. But also, margins were also higher than expected. Retail gross profit per unit, GPU, $3,200. That's pretty good.
What?
$3,200 per unit? Gross profit, that's not bad.
Absolutely, yeah.
Average,
absolutely, that's not too bad at all.
That's not too bad.
Typically, what the used car dealers make.
Get around there.
Yeah.
Man, this is why these guys are interested. But anyways, aside from that, that's up from $3,100 not too long ago. Let's send it off to Adara as we got news. A lot of new all-time highs right now. We have AMD all-time high. We have Google all-time high, and we have the market continuing to climb higher here, guys.
More news out of the Middle East, guys. Iran International reporting that the president and parliamentary speaker of Iran, who are Pezeshkian and Galibaf, respectively, they're dissatisfied with the way that Araghchi, the foreign minister, is handling or advancing diplomacy, especially the nuclear negotiations, and are calling for his dismissal. So again, an Iranian state media outlet reporting that the president and parliamentary speaker of Iran are calling for the dismissal of Iran's foreign minister over the nuclear negotiations. Back to you.
Carvana, I mean, the stock has not been performing well. I mean, it's had probably one of the most.
Found some support there, Joe. Look at that.
It has at 280, right? Yeah. Like this is short report. Oh, sorry,
that's a double bottom and a double top.
Yeah, they got a lot going on here. This is short report, boom, and then it's like okay, recovery time. But I mean, we were talking about this thing a couple of years ago. As Shreve was talking about in 22, where there's 23, late 23. Where
zoom out, bro.
Yeah,
look at the collapse.
I remember this thing. It was like around $3 or so.
Yeah, man.
And then just an absolute epic recovery. So minting millionaires there, even in
clearly.
DNA.
All right, so the morning note didn't get this one right today. None of the levels came in for Carvana. You were watching for a pullback into 430 to 435. Long support holds, trend continuation. That didn't come in. You had an extension into 445 to 450, looking for an exhaustion, rejection, scalp short. Did you get that? Not really. It didn't really breach that 440 level. And then there was a break and hold above 450, momentum long towards 460. So the morning note can't get it all. It definitely didn't get Carvana today, as that one was an aggressive seller, Joey, right off the get-go.
Yeah, let's get back to see you.
Sorry, let's take a look at Eli Lilly's GLP-1 beat. LLY has reported an EPS of $8.55 versus $6.66 estimated, which is a 28% growth. Revenue has come in at $19.8 billion versus $17.62 billion, which is up by 12%. Sorry, that was an estimated number, which is up by 12% and up 56% year over year. Full year revenue guide is raised to between the range of $82 and $85 billion from the range of $80 to $83 billion. EPS guide raised to $35.5 to $37, which is from $33.5 to $35 range. Now, Mounjaro revenue has come in at $8.66 billion, which is up by 125% year over year. This is a massive outperformance versus the $7.26 billion estimated. Zepbound revenue has come in at $4.16 billion, 80% increase year over year. Again, surge in demand despite the spiking pricing pressure. U.S. revenue is up 43%, which is driven by a 49% volume growth. Pricing pressure is emerging, however, but there's an offset by volume growth. I was also speaking about the new obesity pill launch, that is Foundeo, last week on the show, and the early data for this is modest, but whether the catalyst is remaining uncertain. Currently, LLY up on the day, 11% almost. But Adara, I know this is your favorite stock. What do you have to say about Lilly?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I've read on this, I did not trade this particularly well, but I wanted to talk about the technicals in a minute because, as we know, this is a stock that I follow pretty closely, and I do have technicals on. Let's start here, though, with the Mounjaro and Zepbound revenue, because I found this really fascinating. The simple graphic not yet out on TTV Research. It'll be out in about 14 minutes, so stay tuned for that. But what's interesting here is Mounjaro, you really only, which is their type 2 diabetes drug, you only get like one really notable sequential decline. Other than that, generally it's either flat or more often than not, you're getting sequential growth. Year-over-year growth for sure, of course, for Mounjaro. No, Zepbound, of course, also growing year-over-year by the tune of roughly 80%, but sequentially down ever so slightly here. So we got 4.16 billion versus 4.26 billion last quarter. Now, obviously, sequential growth is not the biggest metric here, and I'm by no means trying to say that it is. However, thank you for the super chat. I'll get to that in a second, but however, I think that in terms of the trend for these, I do think sequential growth is important. Why? Because this shows a distinct difference here in how Mounjaro and Zepbound are shaping up. Well, Mounjaro has a massive year-over-year and sequential growth pattern here. Zepbound may be slowing down, so I'd be watching Zepbound sales next quarter. Eli Lilly here, this is the 4-hour chart, because I like looking at that 4-hour. I said this to Sean this morning, 930 I thought was going to be a level for Lilly. It was a level briefly. We struggled with it, pushed above. Right now we're struggling with 940, which was the next level on that 4-hour. After that, you get to this really interesting support resistance level, which also, I believe, is a prior all-time high on Lilly of 960. So here are your Adara LePage Lilly levels. As you guys know, it's a stock I love to trade. Someone asking me here, though, about SoFi in the super chat. Thank you for the kind words to that super chatter. If you don't mind putting that back up on the screen, Andre, so I can address the person directly. But let's talk about SoFi. Honestly, not a name that I trade intradays. You guys know I like my spready, like $1,000 tickers. Thank you to Snowman11 for that super chat. Adara, you look beautiful. Thank you for the kind words. Quick look at SoFi. So yeah, I think with SOFI today, I would not trade it. This is honestly the type of setup I find I tend to do really badly on, where you kind of get to that high and then you're oscillating. I would like to see if we can get back above that 1620 level, but I'd be cautious here. On the daily here, with this gap, it's kind of tough. I'm going to be real. I think there's obviously clear support here at that $15 level, which served as resistance a couple times going back here on the daily to zoom out a bit. But yeah, I think from an intraday perspective, this is a type of strategy I find don't do the best on. I would wait to see if we can get above that area that we rejected a couple times here at 1623. But again, not the type of stock that I find I usually have, you know, the highest quality of insight on. Either way, thank you for that super chat. Thank you for letting me wax poetic about SoFi and Lilly. And yeah, thanks to this awesome community for always giving me the opportunity to talk trading from time to time.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. And thank you, everybody, for the super chat. Snowman, thank you for the 5. STK Trader 1 dropping 10. Asking as follows, what primarily affects silver prices? Also, do you ever see it below 60? So many things affect silver prices. It has more of an industrial use than gold. My understanding is it's used in more manufacturing processes. That's one thing, obviously, as many commodities. I would say also as a hedge against inflation, looking for something that maybe hold on to its value a little bit better than fiat currency. You know, that competes with gold, it competes with Bitcoin, Ethereum, all things like that. And then, you know, there's obviously speculation, right? A lot of people have been speculating that, you know, it's going to be a super what do they call it? Super cycle for these commodities, especially the precious metals. We've seen copper do well, as well as some others. Did you want to chime in a little bit on silver before I give my 2 cents here on Lily?
I mean, as for silver, below 60, I don't know. I mean, that's not too far, really, but it's holding up where it is right now. I just think that this is such a demand-dependent thing. If you see within gold that this thing was continuing to climb higher, it went on this monster run below 60, it would be putting it south of this support level right here. And I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. Anything can happen, but if you continuously see that rotation and like the de-dollarization of things, then maybe you won't ever see below 60 within this.
Possibly. I mean, I can't really tell on the price, but those are the reasons.
Me neither. But I'm saying, like, if you think about people are swaying away from the American dollar, I probably doubt that you'll see below 60.
Are central banks buying silver in the same?
No, absolutely not.
Gold,
no,
right?
absolutely
You got to
not,
assume
no.
they're probably buying gold a lot more aggressively.
Way more.
Here's what.
Meta.
Go ahead, Joe.
You know, I was just saying, there goes Meta.
Meta's ripping.
Yeah.
AMD's ripping. Meta's ripping. Katinaman's long Meta. He's printing up a storm on that. AMD's all-time highs, as you mentioned before, Joey, 5%. The contra-positive, essentially, of AMD, which is down 4. Sorry, NVIDIA, which is down 4. Let me just give my quick look here on Lily. One of the things I really wanted to say was there is a price for volume trade-off clearly here by Lily. We saw revenue grow 56%, but guess what? Realized prices actually dropped 13%. That is because they're prioritizing massive volume over a per vial profit basis. So that's something to look out for going forward. Secondly, that Fondeo oral pill, love it. It opens up a new segment for them, especially people who are averse to needles. They don't have to take that anymore. My understanding it is not as effective, but it's still effective. So it could serve as a good alternative. But the story, Joey, I really like China, Assassino, China. Get it, Donald. Mounjaro's inclusion in China's National Reimbursement Drug List, NRDL for short, that drove non-U.S. revenue up by 81%, as now covered by the national drug provider there. That gives Lilly basically state-sanctioned, in my opinion, monopoly on these higher volume weight loss in the world's second largest economy. You got to love that. You get the nod from the Chinese regulator, and you're very overtly an American company without any strings being pulled by President Trump.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Fondeo.
Fondeo.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, guys, sales in Eli Lilly rose 79%. Overall, 56%, 19.8 billion. Street was looking around 17.8 billion. So, I mean, I think the next thing is the pill. A lot of people are not going to want to continuously inject themselves, and I think this is going to be a big step. So Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly releasing both of these pills. So there it is.
Some freaking out over that.
He's going, man. Yeah. We're going to send it off because there's got a lot. He's going to want to talk a lot. But what he has going on, he's in Marvell, he's in Meta, he's in the TQs. So
he's in the entire market.
It's tough, man. He has to get it out. So we'll send it over to the boys, and we'll see what Neil and Sean were. Fantastic stuff. I hope everyone's had a fantastic day.